cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Carol Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than rev counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Carol Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
We could be about to witness the final test innings of Joe Denley and Jason Roy. Or Joe Denley and Jason Roy could grow into fully fledged test match men before our very eyes. Which do you think's more likely? Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Guerrilla Cricket, where the Ashes may be decided this very day. I'm Gorilla Hendo, or Cat Sitting Hendo, whichever you want, and I'm here to guide you through the first nervous half an hour or so of this utterly crucial period in our Ashes development. I'm joined by great men of wisdom and no little girth, because on my right I have none other than the porn star's namesake. It's Tony Bish Bash Bosh. How are you, Tony?
I'm very well, Hendo.
And
I wouldn't say I'm optimistic, but I'm very well.
Indeed. And on my left, now, this is a man who's sacrificing almost everything for you today. He could be lumping around loaves of bread in his local Waitrose.
I will be.
And he will be, in fact. But for 2 hours, he's all yours, and he's all ours. It's Gary Naylor.
Well, I'm very much Jack Russell to your Mike Atherton today, I think.
Oh, well, I hope so. I do hope so.
Jack Russell was a small, wiry, whippety character. Are you absolutely sure?
It's not an exact match, is it? It's not an exact match.
He was very much second fiddle in the, was it Johannesburg
It
rearguard?
was Joburg.
Oh,
I was there.
Yes.
You were there?
I was there for every day of it, and it was a wonderful thing to observe.
The Atherton rearguard.
I was
Wasn't
there.
that Cape Town though?
No, it was Joburg.
Was it by Joe?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep. Now, let's have a little chat about this, because, well, England are 18 for 2. The target is 383, and it's probably not going to happen, is it? Because Australia are quite good bowlers. But you think, Tony, in a way that if the Australians retain the Ashes today, that's kind of been coming, because you feel that England been playing catch up a little bit in this series?
Yes, I think they probably have. Every day I think seems to have started with a view of how are England going to get out of this. Who's going to step up for England has been the eternal question, hasn't it? So, and again, it's very much like that today. I mean, I would love. I'm starting to sound like Kevin Keegan. I would love it. Love it. But if Jason Roy could get a big ton, if Joe Denley could really step up, it would be quite magnificent. Don't leave it all to Ben Stokes because one man can only carry so much. Having said that, there is one man who has been a absolute giant in this series, and he's head and shoulders above everyone else, and that of course has been Smith.
So
it isn't just him. Sorry,
so Stokes could be our giant.
He could be our giant if there's those to stay with him. It'll be different today. I mean, a factor to consider here is it's a genuine day 5 pitch, whereas at Headingley it was really a day 3 pitch when you look at the sort of impact of weather. And I think we have wonderful individuals in our bowling attack. I think Broad has been magnificent this series. I think Archer's made an incredibly promising start, bar perhaps the first innings of this game. I think Jack Leach will become a wonderful spin bowler for England, and I have every hope that he will do that. But collectively as a unit, I just feel Australia have got the greater depth. Not having Anderson has hurt us. I mean, if you'd have been able to slot Anderson in, and then you had Archer as first change, or you had Archer and Anderson and Broad as first change, I mean, that would be some attack with that bit of extra variety. And I just feel we've lost something there. Overton, I would have loved him to succeed, and he may yet be there batting at 6:30 tonight, and we're going, what a performance.
Well, let me come to Gary on that, because I mean, Gary is a great proponent of the value of a number 8, and Craig Overton is the number 8, and he won't be acting as night watchman as he did in the first innings. He will be genuinely coming in at number 8. People not over impressed with his performance with the ball. What do you think? Can he be the man that can lead England home tonight?
Well, I love a number 8, but it's not really a number 8's job to bat 3 hours on a day 5 pitch, as Tony has pointed out. I mean, a more authentic number 8 would be someone like Dom Bess, who always bats above Overton for Somerset.
Except when he's playing for Yorkshire.
Yes. I mean, my feeling is that bowlers win series, and the better bowlers have been on the Australian side. Broad has been absolutely fantastic, but he can't do it all by himself. Jofra has been good in bursts. Leach has done a job, but you see that ball that Patrick Cummins bowled last night, which was completely unplayable to Joe Root. He would have been out on 0, he would have been out on 101, he would have been out on 211 to that. Mitchell Stark bowled very, very well yesterday. Lyon's a bit out of sorts in this match. He's been a little bit short, but he's still a quality bowler. He's got more test wickets than Dennis Lilly. You can't come into a series with such an inferior, such a less experienced bowling attack as England have put up against these Australians and expect to win over 5 tests. And I think England will lose today, and I think they'll lose pretty quickly, and I think they'll lose at the Oval because Australia have better players.
That is very much the general mood on Crick Tracker I'm seeing. I don't know if you're following that.
I was ready to be optimistic, and now Gary has just rained on my parade.
What a ball from Pat Cummins.
Well, it was a great ball, but we've
seen
seen quite a lot of great balls from the likes of Broad. And I think Archer as well. I mean, I think Archer's only really struggled in one innings that I've seen him bowl. And that may have been down to the strong crosswinds. He's obviously not very good at taking off in crosswinds. Anyway, we are about to get underway. England need another 365.
Should we jingle up the
jingle up them,
protagonists?
Well, it may be for the last time, but we shall see. Joe Denley and Jason Roy. Let's hear their music.
Jason Roy.
Duckworth Lewis loves you. The clouds part for you. Nothing stands in your way when you're a Roy.
I wish that were true, actually, because maybe we should have a little different jingle for him for Test match cricket and one-day international cricket. Yes, the other man out there is...
Here is this man.
Joe Denley, he's almost as old as the theme song, but Chef is gone and we need someone to bat at the top of the order. part-time bowler. He can do leg spin, but he's no Ravi Ashwin. He'll need help from the heavy roller. Joe Denley, Joe Denley.
I should just quickly say that Harshad Campbell on Campbell, I hope I pronounced that right, on Crick Tracker says England will win with the help of vampires. I'm absolutely not quite sure how they think that's going to happen, but there you go.
Anyway, first ball of the morning, it's Josh Hazelwood. It's a full ball, and it's nicely dug out up to mid-on by Joe Denley. The sun is out, the sky is blue. There's not a cloud to spoil the view, but it's raining. Surely it is. It rains. It rains very much raining.
You can tweet us at Gorilla Cricket, and many of you have, and we'll be coming to those between and betwixt the overs.
Indeed we shall, and I should remind you that the GPL is open, and you have to be quick on the GPL this morning, because when I say you have to be quick, we think you probably have to be quick, because we're going to shut it when 4 wickets are down.
Shut it.
We're going to shut it when the 4 wickets are down. So probably in a couple of overs. So get on it quickly. In comes Hazelwood. Bowls outside the off stump. A little bit of wobble as the ball goes down towards the batsman, but he leaves it alone. Now, hang on. I'm a bit perturbed about the fact that Joe Denley has not even washed his jersey overnight, because somewhere where he dived in the field, there's still a smudge, and that's just not really good etiquette, is it?
If he's there at 3 o'clock this afternoon, Hendo, you're not going to be moaning about his jersey.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
When you think people don't move even to go to the toilet during a stand, I think not washing your jumper overnight is fairly low in the scale.
Surely he's got a manservant to do something like that.
Undignified suspicion.
Quite a large one, apparently.
3 slips in a gully and a short square leg, and a full ball hits him on the pad. It's a big appeal. It's not far away, but I think he might just escape. Dharmasena says no. Joe Denley remains in the pose. It's probably not the wisest thing to do. I would
to give the umpire time to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. I would get out of that pose immediately. It looks like it's not going to be referred.
Let's quickly jingle the bowler. We haven't jingled him, have we?
Yep.
This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood. This is a jingle.
Well down leg.
Josh Hazelwood.
It's missing by a long way. In fact, it was the impact ended up being outside leg stump, or umpire's call at the very least. Now that comes back quite sharply, but it's short enough that Joe Denley can rip his bat out of the line a bit and allow it to pass over the top of the stumps.
Denley missed that ball by a good 9 inches.
What, the LBW appeal?
Yeah. I mean, why do so many England batsmen miss the ball by such a long way? Well, I mean, my conjecture is that they've not got their head and hands in alignment, which I keep making. But so many England batsmen just miss the ball by miles.
It is harder when it comes into your pad sometimes, if it's heading a long way down the leg side like that one would have done. Anyway, here comes Hazelwood again. Into Denley, and Denley is forward, taking the bottom hand off the bat as he defends that into the covers. And there is no run. Just about the GPL, I should say, if you want to take part in the GPL, you go to gorillacricket.com, find competitions, register if you haven't already done so. Your guess will cost you £1. You can have more than one guess if you so desire. You can have as many as you want, in fact, as long as each one costs you £1. And should you get it on the nose at the end of the day, you win what's in the pot. And we start with a pot full of 133 wonderful pounds sterling, which is probably worth about €5 these days, or a couple of dollars. In comes Hazelwood, in bowls, and again left more or less on length by Denley, and through the keeper it goes. Gary.
Yes, we're joined by Ravi Nair, who says, can England wrap this up by lunch, please? 4 wickets an hour should do it. Arthur Shire. Nearly said Gorilla Shire.
Yeah, well, you can promote Gorilla Shire if you like.
Or Gorilla Sitting Hendo. Will come to your house with a siddle of bananas and tend to your gorilla while you're on holiday. Linux Lee says, good morning, gorillas. Why do Roy and Henley have to grow up to be men? They are allowed to grow up to be anything they want to be. Roger Melly says, morning lads, nice to be back with you again. The battery on my phone went flat yesterday and I was forced to listen to Jeffrey for a couple of hours. It's not an experience I want to repeat in a hurry. Dave Wood says, morning gents, stat to start the day. The longest Jason Roy has ever batted in an innings is 3.5 hours.
Yes, we heard that yesterday.
Says,
add half an hour to that. That will see us well on our way.
Well, it's just a tea.
Linux Lee says, Roy looks in good spirits this morning. I expect him to look glorious while getting out to a high within the first 2 overs.
Well, it's nice to see Joe Root smiling, by the way.
Oh,
Look,
yeah, well, that's
I haven't seen much of that.
He's in denial, isn't he? Someone's tickling him. That's what it must be.
He's in the dressing room.
He's in the dressing room, indeed. On the basis of why they would grow up to be men, I mean, I think they started as boys. I suppose that doesn't necessarily mean they will grow up to be fully fledged cricket men. I don't know what they might end up being fully fledged as. In comes Cummins, bowls outside the off stump to Roy for the first time, and those hard hands jab at the ball. Full face of the bat, though, up towards extra cover, and there is no run.
I was encouraged by Joe Denley getting forward to Hazelwood. We haven't seen any bouncers yet, and it'll be hard to flog too many out of a fifth-day pitch, but the ball is definitely keeping low, and it's imperative that England get forward to as many deliveries as possible. Certainly to the seamers, they can afford to play back to line because the pitch is slow, but anybody caught on the crease, it's just unforgivable on a fifth-day pitch.
Well, we shall see what Jason Roy can do. He's waiting for the next delivery from Patrick Cummins, who we should jingle up in a moment. He's beaten by one outside the off-stump. A lovely leg cutter from the #1 world-ranked bowler.
This man, in fact.
Paceman Pat, Paceman Pat,
Sorry, Gary.
Paceman Pat, and his baggy green cap. Early in the morning, just before the warm-up, he has to pull out with a dodgy bat.
And if you're wondering...
Patrick Hammond!
I mean, that was a good ball, but if you're wondering why people like me are so annoyed with Jason Roy's selection in this match, it's that is exactly it. The front pad goes onto a kind of middle and off, and the hands just follow the ball. You're never going to get anywhere in Test cricket like that.
And it's the hardness of the hands,
Oh,
but the hardness of the hands is quite useful there as he clips this one away past the man at short leg. It's just about going to dribble into the defence now, and England have their first boundary of the morning. They race on to 22 for 2. Now, Roy has made double figures in both innings. Is that enough to keep him in for the Oval?
No, but if he's batting at 6 o'clock tonight,
Who cares?
definitely.
Who cares? Exactly.
Who cares? Where was the German defence? And frankly,
Indeed,
cares?
indeed. Yep, not a bad shot at all. We're quite happy with that. Do a few more of those, and well, we shall see.
The thing about Test match batting, and I'll come to it after this ball.
Cummins in again, bowls, and now what was he doing there? I have no idea. I think he was trying to leave it, and then at the last moment, some sort of instinct made him play it, and it was a horrible mess of a shot. But he got away with it. The ball ran out into the covers, and there is no run.
And it is a bit of a difference to white ball cricket in that it's not the number of good shots you play in Test match cricket; it's the number of bad shots you play. In ODI cricket, and definitely in T20, you can get away with bad shots because of field placings and everything else, and a number of good shots because you hit boundaries. 40 off 20 balls isn't bad, but in Test match cricket, the number of bad shots you play is what matters, and Roy plays too many.
Cummins in again. This time he gets right across outside his off-stump. He gives him a bit of a Steve Smith leave there. So maybe he's learning from the ways of the great man.
Gary, are you also tracking Crick Tracker? If not, I can quickly give a shout out to a few folks.
There's nothing here. I can't see anything.
Okay, so Diwash Gautam says it's not going to rain today. No, it's not.
Sadly, no.
Harvish Adan Campbell says Australia will win 100%. Adan Khan says, ooh, England. And
Ooh, England.
Who else have we got? Hassan Khan Yusufazi says Australia will win.
Yep. No great surprise
to,
if they do.
If the
Cummins in again, bowls to Roy, and Roy is forward to one that is questioning him around middle and off, plants the foot forward, full face of the bat, up to mid-on, no run.
Thanks for that, Tony. If the bear can come in and show me how to get to see what should be there.
I'll just read
It's
the
all a
rest of this.
mystery.
Shabazz Ahmed Memon says Kangaroos win. Hassan Khan Youssef says hi.
Hello.
Congress win the match. I don't know what that means. Always Cricketer says nice. Well, we're into Jazz Club territory again.
Nice.
And I think that's pretty much... Rajinder Dillon says I think the match will be a draw. Well,
really?
A lot of England fans would bite your hand off for
Absolutely.
that, Rajinder Dillon, but you just never know. That's the beauty of cricket.
That is the beauty of cricket. The thing is with England, I feel like we've been here so many... It's a constant feeling of deja vu with England. Hazelwood in, bowls to Denley. Denley is forward and plays that nicely into the covers, getting right out to that one and meeting it well.
I was looking at YouTube, which is flagged up as Crick Tracker when I should have been looking at
it's
something else, apparently.
It's the multi-format internet world, Gary. It's quite hard to follow when you get to our age, lad.
Hey.
Was it David Bowie in The Man Who Fell to Earth who had all those television screens and then shot them up? Well, that's pretty much how I feel.
It's going back a bit.
Doesn't he cut his own nipple off in that film?
Oh,
as well?
He might do,
quite
yeah.
That's not
unpleasant.
something that I've chosen to remember. Hazelwood, 3 slips of the gully and a short leg, and it's a beautiful ball that just nibbles away.
First one of these.
And Denley is beaten.
But Denley has to be forward to that. He can't be playing back.
Well, he's not playing anywhere really.
No, he's on the crease, isn't he?
On the upside, he was watching the ball under his eye line. He wasn't reaching for it.
Well, he doesn't reach for it in the same way that
particularly.
Roy does. His hands
No.
aren't quite as hard as Roy's. But he did get turned around a little bit. I think you have to say
And he's
credit
still
to the
there.
bowler. Yeah, you have to say very good ball.
It was a very good ball. But
Hazelwood again, a fuller ball. This one swinging in, if anything. Gets quite a bit of bat on that. Also a little bit of pad, and it rolls out into the covers. 22 for 2. Roy has 12, Denley has 10.
I mean, what we're saying is not mysterious here. It's the way he played on 5th day test pitches for 142 years. So England, I mean, I know it's not easy, particularly when there's pace on show here, and you might get one up the nose, but you've really got to force yourself to get forward to these deliveries. You really have.
In comes Hazelwood again. You feel like a wicket's coming almost every ball, don't you? Outside the off stump, left alone by the smudgy nippled Denley. I just can't quite get over the fact that he's not put a... What could he have done? Would he put a bit of vinegar on that?
What, his nipple?
Yeah, vinegar on your nipple, is it? On the nipple.
I know about putting it on chips, but I've never...
His jersey.
Salt vinegar on your chest?
The nipple area of his jersey. I
I'm
think
with you.
he should have done a bit of work on it.
Well, I don't know.
Or do you
why.
think it shows that a man
It
who's
shows
been,
he's
been in the heat of the
ground in the
action?
dirt for the cause.
Yes, that's true.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Hazelwood again into Denley. Denley defends. He wants a single. He looks up and sees if Roy is going to respond, and he does. And they scuttle through. Denley moves to 11. England 23 for 2. You just feel it's the calm before the storm, don't
Well,
you?
I mean, psychologically, for these two, this is, from an international England perspective, this is career defining.
It is absolutely. It is.
And you know, on the one hand, you don't want to place too much pressure on them because it's as our friends in social media have been saying, you know, an Australia win is more likely than anything else. But this is for them. If one or both of these step up, make a big score, England can somehow escape with a draw. This is the absolute making of them. It's their legacy in some ways.
It is.
Tony,
to be
what
able
you're
to do that.
saying is we're holding out for a hero.
We are. That was the worst.
Until the end of the night. Well, we don't need it till the end of the night. We only need it till about 6:30.
That was the worst
I
karaoke
can't.
I've heard.
I'm hopeless.
Anyway, it's not. It's Roy to face. It's a full ball, and he digs it out straight back into the hands on the bounce to Josh
Jason
Hazelwood.
Roy's got a grubby jumper as well at Endo. He's got all one side of his jumper's grubby.
Oh yeah, he's terribly grubby, isn't he? He's on the right nipple.
He looks
as
like he
opposed to the
spilt
left
red
nipple.
wine down his.
Well, on the subject of songs, Evil Scooter says, "Evening all. So, what would one choose as an accompaniment to the loss of the Ashes?" Just bear that thought in mind, because I'll give you a couple more tweets.
Don't even think on that
Official
yet.
Jules says, "Let's just hope they show heart for the fight today. I can take a defeat, but yet another collapse really will cheese me off." And Muttley says, "Woof. Morning, folks. How long do we get rolled and lose the chance to regain the Ashes?" So, 2 questions there. The first one, what song? Secondly, how long till we get rolled? Tony.
Ashes to ashes.
Yeah, fun
I
to
suppose.
fun.
Yeah.
I'll have to. have a
How
little
long
think
do we
about
get rolled?
I don't know. I
that. Half an hour after
hold
lunch.
that thought.
Cummins bowls. Oh, that's a bit uppishly played by Denley as he came forward. Maybe it was a slower delivery. No, not particularly. 84.
If these two can play themselves in, it's all ifs, isn't it? If.
Oh, now that was
It was uppish, wasn't it?
it was a bit uppish, and it's interesting how Australia have their mid-offs and mid-ons so tight that they almost could be in business with a a sort of lofted drive, a little like that, or an unintended lofted drive. 23 for 2 is the score. Cummins is in. Oh, that's a good ball. Hit him on the pad, and I think that could be it. Could it be it? There's a massive appeal. They're imploring.
It's a
Umpire
three-stage appeal.
Erasmus. And now Tim Payne is saying, oh, could that be going down the leg side? We think that could be going down the leg side. Despite the fact that we appealed our knockers off, that could be going down the leg side. And in fact, they're not going to review it. I thought that. I think, if anything, it might have been a bit high. That was all.
Oh, we'll have another look
I
here.
didn't think the angle was such that it was going to go down the leg side. Oh, maybe.
Height and
Tight.
direction.
It's a tight one. He's caught on the crease again, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I would be DRSing that because I think at worst it's umpire's call.
Well, he didn't give it out. No, I think it's a very good decision. I think that's a brilliant decision.
Oh,
it
it is.
really is.
So that must be Marius Erasmus then.
He's got one wrong, I think, in this test. And was that who was that against? It was yesterday, an England batsman. Full again, driven a little bit aerially again. This time to the onside by Denley, and it's fielded by
When he's
Stark at mid-on.
concentrating, Marius Erasmus has a sort of a downturned mouth that
Grumpy
looks like
cat.
one of those
Grumpy cat.
non-smiley. Is it what do you call
Grumpy
it?
cat.
A grumpy cat. He is a grumpy
The
cat.
grumpy
yeah.
No, but you must know the Grumpy Cat. Have you?
Get
the one
back,
that died
Grumpy Cat.
recently. Did you know the Grumpy Cat?
The grumpy cat.
It's
was
a sort of
grumpy cat.
internet sensation.
Have you sat on him?
No, he sat on me.
He would be grumpy if you went and sat on
he
him,
would,
Andy.
he would indeed. Would he be dead? He'd be that.
He'd be
that
a
grumpy.
flat grumpy cat.
I'll tell you what else about Marius Erasmus, which I noticed yesterday. He has one of the campest runs this side of
does he?
Kenneth Williams.
We've got an on Hayden now as well to add into the equation, and the ball is tossed to him after it's defended back to the bowler to do a little bit of work on 87 miles an hour. Denley remains on 11. Roy has 12. England are 23 for 2.
And on Crick Tracker, Sathak Varshni says this match is gone in the lap of Australia.
I believe so. But this is just. It is. I just can't help thinking that we've been here so many times before with England trying to save the game on the last day. That in strides Cummins, bowls, and forward comes Denley. Perfect example of a defensive shot. Up towards mid-off it goes, and there is no run.
When are the vampires going to arrive? That's what.
Oh yeah, we were going to be saved by the vampires, weren't we?
I suppose it is a game that involves bats.
Oh, very good. Yes.
And one has to count the runs.
Oh dear, I can hear them turning off in droves. I can hear the click. Oh, no, we're not listening to this anymore. No. Cummins 2 for 12. Final ball of his 5th over coming into Denley. Denley has some zinc on his nose underneath that grill. In he comes, bowls, and he pushes out into the offside. They think about a single because there is a little bit of a gap there, but they're very alert in the field, Australia, and they close it down quickly. So England remain 23 for 2, maiden from Cummins, and the end of the over.
Linux Lee points out that in Chittagong that Afghanistan are well on track for their first victory against a team that has won a test before.
Ooh, let's have a look.
Our very own Knuckle says, morning, Afghanistan close to victory in Chattogram. Muhammad Nabi in his last test traps Shadman Islam, LBW for 41. And Bangladesh are 106 for 5, chasing 398. Almost 4 sessions still for Bangladesh
114 for 5
to
now.
survive.
Still
Matt
there,
Searle
thereabouts.
points out correctly, GC karaoke sounds awful. It will be if I'm in it.
Yeah.
Evil Scooter says, I was thinking more of drinking accompaniments, but songs work for me too.
Drinking accompaniment.
And Left of Field says, it's Hazelwood from my arse is pointing in the right direction of India End, and Cummins bowling from my arse is pointing into the stuffing ocean of the coast of England somewhere to the west. I'm afraid I don't understand it.
Things have taken a very surreal turn. Who was that from?
Left of left field.
Very left of left.
So far left. At the last moment, Roy jabs down on this first delivery of a new over from Hazelwood.
I'll just finish the tweets by saying that Dave Emery says, what I am most looking forward to today is Hendo's reaction when Archer is outplaying the slog sweep at 5:37. Run out
5:37. Well, at least we'd have got close.
Yeah, run out going for a third, still 200 runs behind. I think.
Oh. Well, it's already not been a good sporting weekend for me, and when sport turns against you, it really turns.
Yes, but you have to have those points to really appreciate the highs.
Yeah, but I've had enough of them, thank you.
Well,
Hazelwood bowls, hits him on the pad as he tries to come forward. He got his bat absolutely nowhere near
Go and
that.
support Abu Dhabi then, aka Manchester City.
Yeah, well, you can't, can you? I mean, you know, you have to put your support where support's needed.
Exactly. It's in your blood.
Yep,
You can change your wife, your job, your home, but never your team.
this is very true, and most of us have.
Although some teams change their managers rather quickly, too.
Well, yeah, well, I know.
Oh, hang on.
QK.
Everton speaking over there. I mean, they've had about how many managers have you had in the last few years?
Yeah, we've had a few, but not quite as many as what.
You're welcome to the one you got now,
Yeah,
the
but
snake.
you just nick them from Watford, basically. Don't
I still can't understand how this Facebook thing works.
you? Never mind. Hazelwood outside the off stump. There's the cry from the bear from inside the green room. The technological incompetence of Gary, which I'm always glad to see him shouting at someone else apart from me. Mitchell Stark is warming up. He's just doing a few little exercises there. He's getting ready to roar in, try out that Yorker. He bowled one really good Yorker last night, which was excellently dug out by Joe Denley. But, England moved on by 5 runs this morning. Hard going, of course. Hazelwood in again, bowls to Roy, and that's a bit back of a length, and he had a bit more time there, didn't he, to get in behind that one.
And he waited for it. He wasn't reaching for it. He went onto the back foot. He let the ball come onto the bat. I could watch him do that all day, and if I was, I'd be quite happy.
I'm wondering whether he went back and just for a moment he thought about pulling that, and then decided, I'm going to get a lot of criticism if I get out to this, and then defended it.
The TV umpire has a question for us, which I shall bring you at the end of the over.
Bear, you do realise that the GPL's closing after 4 wickets. I hope you've taken that on board. Otherwise we could lose loads of money. Now this is a little bit wayward on the leg stump and nicely turned by Jason Roy down to long leg, where Cummins fields. They take a single. The score moves on to 24 for 2.
Do you want the question now, so you can answer it after this ball?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. There's nothing happening with the...
Nothing's happening on
TV
Twitter.
umpire says, "Morning, Gorillas. Apologies if this has been discussed before, but in the case of Oz retaining the Ashes, do you see Root captaining England for the next series versus New Zealand in November?" I've got a particular take on this.
I probably do. We'll wait for the score and then I'll let you tackle it.
Hazelwood short ball, which the first one really that we've seen this morning. Denley ducks under it without much alarm. I don't think they will change the captain. Whether they should is another matter. I mean, there's no one actually crying out to take it, apart from presumably Ben Stokes. But do we want to then put that extra pressure on him? Although,
No.
that said, he loves pressure, seemingly.
My take is that if Burns gets a score on his home ground at the Oval, they'll say that they want to give this tour off to Joe Root. Not perfectly understandably. I think he's got a young family. He's been playing World Cup, then he's been playing the Tests. It's a nice little excuse, and they'll say we're going to give it to Burns for New Zealand, give Root the tour off, and then they'll see how Burns goes as a captain and as an opening bat. I think he does need a score at the Oval, maybe not a century, but another 80 odd or something, because that will really cement his place for the winter. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Root just given a little bit of a break, and I'd like to see England led by a different personality. And Rory Burns has been an excellent captain at Surrey. I think he's pretty much chalked in now as opening bat. I'd like to see it.
Cummins starts new over, bowling to Roy, who's pressing forward to a full delivery on the line of off stump.
Can I just drop in my
You can.
point of view on that? I don't think the selectors would take it away from him right now. I've just been watching his body language in the last 2 tests, even the Headingley test, which we won. Remember, he got, Norton 17 in that, I think, didn't he?
No, he got 70 in the second innings at
Did he?
Headingley.
Oh,
yeah.
I take it.
Played
Okay.
very well.
Yeah.
But he just seemed a little bit downbeat. Even after we'd won, he wasn't ecstatic yet. I think he was more thinking about, were it not for an
Stokes.
extraordinary one-off thing,
Yes.
we'd have lost this test. And his body language has not been perky in any way, shape or form.
Cummins in again. Oh, beautiful ball. That actually sort of cuts him in half. He ends up sticking his arse out towards square leg and poking the bat at it. Big gap. And the ball found its way through that. But fortunately for him, didn't take the stumps.
It's a beautiful ball because his feet are going absolutely nowhere. The head is arching over. The hands, it's just, that I wouldn't expect an under-17 batsman to play that delivery like that. It's that bad. I mean, there's literally no way of describing how bad that shot is in these circumstances. I mean, why is this man playing for England in a test match? He's a great ODI player. He has no idea how to bat in test cricket.
Cummins into him again, bowls him a fierce bouncer, and he flinches for a moment and then gets out of the way of it. Interesting one. He gave him the fullish ball. He's given him the bouncer. He's just testing him out in all sorts of ways, and he does not look like a comfortable man. Going back to the Joe Root thing, I mean, when you think about it, they go to New Zealand in November. I think that by that point Joe Root will have had 2 months off. I think he'll want to go. I don't think he will voluntarily miss out on cricket. He loves it too much. And I don't think Ed Smith is going to be, should the word be strong enough to actually take it away from him. Cummins bowls a full ball, and somehow he's going to get a run here. Didn't move from the crease, prodded the bat. I mean, the only thing you can say about the bat was that the full face of it did meet the ball somehow.
Odd shot,
prodded
wasn't
it into the onside, and there was a little bit of hesitation before they decided to come through for the single, but they got it nonetheless. England 25 for 2.
I think he's very consciously trying to play late, Roy. Trying to watch the ball onto the bat, trying not to reach for it. And
do you think he's just...
And that's the right thing to do. I mean, that shot, I have to say, did look a bit odd, but he got away with it.
Yeah, it wasn't as odd as the one before, which Gary was trying to describe. It was almost indescribable. One thing I did notice, just as Cummins finished on his follow-through there, is he has the most amazingly dark, hairy eyebrows. Very impressive eyebrows. Short ball to Denley. Denley ducks it quite comfortably. And through to the keeper it goes.
Do you think? Because there was just a little bit of the periscope, I think, in that duck.
Well, you can always leave the periscope up, I suppose. That is a problem. In terms of actually picking the bouncer early and getting under it, I think he did. But yes, there is always a danger if you don't get your bat down that you can be periscoped. As was it Joffre who was periscoped? I think it was in
it was.
Lords, was it?
We do have some comments coming through on YouTube, which I shall bring you
polite ones
at the end of
hopefully.
this over. Yes, unlike YouTube, I know, to be polite.
Cummins then in to bowl the final ball of his 6th over. He's bowling to Denley. Denley's in behind that one and plays it nicely down just in front of the crease.
So Max Claydon says good morning.
Good morrow.
Shiku TV Productions says hi.
Hello.
Ritik Agarwal doesn't say anything.
Oh.
Umair Farouk says hi. And Parbs 1980 says the way Archer has looked batting, he should be relegated to 11 despite his first-class record.
Well, actually, Jack Leach did look very good yesterday. He played one gorgeous straight drive. I think it was off Stark. And he just moved into position and played it with excellent timing. And we saw some of that at Lords when he was night watchman against Ireland and went on to get that 92.
He's got a better technique than the number 4 at the moment.
Certainly has.
Pirate Badshaw back on Twitter says, presumably, this is talking about the Dracula.
Oh, yes.
Oh, right.
When the new cherry is available, the fruit bats go on the attack.
Oh.
Sorry.
Did you know that, interestingly enough, that swung into Roy, who again sort of somehow uncomfortably gets down on it and defends it into the covers. It was quite funny yesterday because Tony brought some cherries in, and he went and opened his little Tupperware.
Little Tupperware pot
of cherries. Oh, I've forgotten to put the cherries in. I say, you can't beat that sort of intelligence.
It's a definite flaw in the plan.
They were in the bag.
They'd just fallen out into the bag. It wasn't like I just bought an empty Tupperware box with me.
It certainly did seem that at first, though, didn't it?
It did. I thought I had.
We did enjoy the moment.
Is it like opening the box and finding Jason Roy's defensive technique in it?
No, I don't think there is such a thing. Oh, no, goodness me. It's almost as if he's trying to play a ball that's underneath the ground. They go so low.
The Gazunda ball, he called it.
Yes.
That was the old joke, wasn't it? My parents gave me an empty box for Christmas once. They said it was an Action Man deserter.
Yay, very good. I'd never heard that one before. Very good, though. Very good.
Cy Hill says, feeling optimistic, more like 3:57 p.m.
I don't feel optimistic, and I mean it should be time fairly soon for me to leave this seat for a little while. But I'm
Yes.
reluctant to do so because I'm feeling that thing of having to sit in the loo while the wickets don't go down.
Sally R56 has made a very interesting point.
Hazelwood in again, and down the leg side. He tries to turn it, but doesn't reach it, and it's through to Payne.
She says the dirt on Roy's jumper has been there since the sliding stop in the field on day one. The ECB can't afford a second jumper for the players because all the money is committed to the 100.
Oh, of course, that's right. Absolutely right. It's a bit like, the British Army not having the right equipment when they were in Iraq, isn't it? They had some vehicles that weren't really up to the job. It's incumbent upon the ECB to provide more jerseys, I think. And, really poor on their behalf. Now, what have we got? We've got 3 slips, no goal. We've got a man at short mid wicket.
Is
Harris.
Harris, yeah.
As well. In he comes. Bosland, my goodness me, how on earth has he kept that out? Now he thinks he might have a run. He's having a look around. He can't see past the man who's fielding it. Or is trying to field it. There's Hazelwood, the bowler. That was extraordinary. It did keep low, but not that low.
He played it onto his foot, didn't he? That's what rather flummoxed us.
And his whole sort of lower limbs collapsed underneath him.
He looked like a boxer who'd been smashed in the jaw, and his legs went from underneath him.
What he reminds me of is, do you remember at the end of the Generation game back in the 70s when he used to bring members of the public on to sort of try and do something that the experts...
Was this Bruce Forsyth at the time?
Shorter and turned. He's going to get a run. The pressure's going to be off just for one ball at least.
And it's like Jason Rose. You're going to be a test match batsman. You're going to be a test match. It's not easy. It's not easy. Ooh, did he do well? Did he do well?
That's the worst Larry Grayson I've ever heard.
Not Larry Grayson, Bruce Forsyth. Anyway, some of you older listeners will recall that the Generation game used to do that, and Jason Roy looks like a contestant in the Generation game who's been given the job or given the role of being a test match batsman.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
They always used to do. They always have to spin plates on sticks, didn't they? That's the kind of thing. That's what he looks like. He looks like one of those people trying to keep a plate up in the air and failing miserably.
Well, he's keeping it up at the moment.
Well, just about. I think it's going to be smashed soon. Full ball to Denley. Denley meets that with a full face to bat, plays it neatly enough up to Harris in that short mid-wicket position, and that is the end of the over. It's 26 for 2. What is the time?
The time is 11:30.
Okay, I'll do one more over, and then Gary will slip into the middle chair.
Righto.
And we'll find out who else we've got out there. I think
the bear can come in and
relieve you in a manner of speaking.
We don't know if Jason has arrived.
Has Jason
yet.
Jason arrived?
While we're waiting, Arthurshire says if England have to drop Root to stop him being captain, then drop him. I'm in favour of Burns as captain too.
I think it's a little early in his Test career, but I don't think he's completely nailed down the place yet. He's done pretty well against a testing bowling attack in this series, and I must admit, a lot better than I thought after I saw him against Ireland, and I thought he looked completely at sea, and I thought, how on earth is he going to make it at Test cricket? But he's done pretty well, and I'm confident in him. I know he played a poor shot yesterday, but I'm pretty confident in him. Anyway, yes, new bowler.
Sorry.
Oh, we have this man coming in. 2 ball.
Expect Yorkers.
He's had no swing. No swing since Cape Town. No swing since Cape Town. No swing.
Guitar solo coming up.
Tell
Great
Johnny
guitar
Burns
solo.
that.
Great. Oh. Mog, I can't tell you what that does to me. I can't even describe it. I'm not sure what it is. It may be mildly sexual. In comes Stark, bowls to Roy, who flicks it away in front of square. There is a man out on the boundary, so it's just a single.
Ravi Nair says, to put Smith's batting into context, there have been 19 men who have scored at least 10 Test centuries since 2000, averaging over 50. There were only 4 between 1980 and 1999. In both cases, the highest average was about 10% better than the second best. So I'm not completely sure what Ravi's point there is. It that more batsmen are making centuries now than was the case in 1980 to 1999?
Can that be really true? Stark, left arm over the wicket, coming into bowl to Denley. He got the away swinger going quite nicely last night for a couple of balls. This one thuds into the pads of Denley, just outside the line of leg stump. And the ball rebounds out into the offside. There is no run.
And he does follow up with the tweets giving references. 2000 to 2019, I think the two top averages of 10 centuries or more are Smith 64 and Callis 58. And then if we go to 1980 to 1999, it would be Tendulkar averaging 56 and Lara 51. So presumably everybody's nudging up in terms of averages.
He's in again, Bowles, probing around the off stump, looking for some swing. There wasn't really any there. Defended into the covers by Joe Denley. Surely Sangakkara is in amongst that group somewhere, isn't he?
Well, I think he will be, but he's not got as high an average as Callis, according to that reference.
Well,
it must be very close.
I mean, it makes you wonder, do you think that Callis is a better all-round cricketer, though? Because he was such a good bowler as well.
He took 291 test
Exactly,
wickets, and God knows how
exactly.
many catches.
So is he...
He was a brilliant one-day player, hit a lot of sixes.
So if you were to say that Smith is a great player, wouldn't you? You'd have to say that Callis is one of the greats. Stark in Bowles, and at the last minute whizzes past the off stump because it's left alone by Denley.
Well, you would, but they're very different players.
They are.
I think Stephen Smith is the best batsman I've seen in my time watching cricket. He may not be the most aesthetically pleasing, but he has distilled cricket down to its absolute fundamentals and then has the iron will to keep delivering on it. And you know, you look at some of those innings. Knackle was pointing them out yesterday on Twitter. You know, the big scores he's had in India and the number of times he makes a huge score when those around him are only making middling scores at best. He's the best I've seen.
In comes Stark, Bowles. Oh, he's gone after that one, and he really shouldn't have done it. It was very wide. He tried the drive. He got a skew end or a Q end to that, skewed it away over the slips, and picks up 4 rather fortuitous runs. I'm looking over a 4. So that's what happens when you bowl very accurately and then you suddenly throw one out. Stark's got countless wickets like that, certainly in the Ashes, seems to me. I've seen him do that a lot, but he's got a bit lucky there, Denley. We will have a change in 1 ball's time. The Bear is here, Jason is here, and Gaddy will be shifting into the ball-by-ball chair to bring you his dulcet, scousy tones, and you can look forward to that. After this ball, Stark in. Oh, looking for the Yorker. It ends up being a full toss. He's going to have to get some runs to that. He didn't try to, really. Just defended it. And he's got a single through the covers. They thought about a second but decided against it. That is the end of the over. England have moved on to 32 for 2. I'm going to have to move. I don't want to because we haven't lost a wicket, but I'm going to have to. If you can play us a little tune before people get into position, that would be hunky-dory. Just a tune of something. Money.
We need your money!
Alternative cricket commentary. Bringing you laughs, bringing you jingles, bringing you joy. We are Gorillas. We need your money! Patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket.
Well, we managed half an hour without losing a wicket. I was listening to what you were saying about Rory Burns. I like your idea. I'm not far away from agreeing with you on that. I think Rooty needs a break.
Yeah, I think he needs
so
a break.
much cricket. Just give him some time. Force him to have time out.
Yeah,
Tell him it's not.
I agree.
You know, you might not going to lose the captaincy, but we think you need some time out. We've got an important series away against South Africa.
He looks mentally tired.
He does look mentally tired. The series in New Zealand isn't in the World Test Championship anyway, for some reason. Don't know why, I can't remember. It was pre-planned or something, wasn't it? And therefore, I think it's a good chance to actually try some other players, like Sibley and some others as well, possibly.
It's not really 2 months of break either, because there'll be the training camp, the warm-up, the press conferences. As Lyon is in, and this ball takes Denley on the pad, goes through to the slip, no run.
Let's give him a jingle.
Lyons in, and this is again taking Denley on the pad and again dribbling away to slip, no run, just the short leg and the slip. I would have thought they'd have a leg slip at least for Nathan Lyon, but they haven't.
If you listen to Warney and bloody punter banging on for half an hour yesterday about close in fielding. You'd have better sit him off too.
Yeah, well,
Quite
I would.
square.
I would. I absolutely would. As Denley goes on the sweep, he loves going on the sweep to Lyon, and he gets it square, and
That's
he
a good
gets it
shot.
all the way to the fence for one of these.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Is the reason that they don't have close infielders the fact that they perceive Denley to be a much better player of spin than Roy, and for Roy they will have a very different field.
Yeah.
Well, what's the
Nice.
bet is that Roy comes charging down a wicket is either stumped or bowled.
Yeah.
What are we? How many? If we can lose any wickets, how many can we lose in the first session?
1. As Lyon's in, and this is defended by Denley into the leg side. No, right.
I'll go further. I'll say 2,
2 is a possibility.
But we've gotta
No
be-
more than 2.
but they've got to be the right 2.
Yeah, one of them has to be Roy. Presumably. Although, let's be honest. Look, if Roy gets a fucking stunning 100 today, we'll all be ecstatically
Of
happy.
course we
won't
will. Of
Still
course
don't
we
think
will.
he's a Test player.
As Denley goes on the sweep again, he does so enjoy that, and the man has moved a little squarer. I think it's Matthew Wade out there, and he feels. Oh no, Wade will be at short leg, won't he?
Well, as long as you get your foot right out,
Yeah.
that's a safe shot.
Yeah. So it's the end. One more to come in Lions over. What I will say about players getting tired, and there's plenty of people say, "Oh, they get paid so much, you know, they've only had this many matches and everything else." I think all sportsmen and sportswomen get tired because they're supposed to be at their absolute best
At all
over and
times.
over again. Yeah, and you just can't if you're less than sort
Living in
of
hotel rooms and shit as well.
95% on it mentally, as Lyon is in and this ball is defended and there is no run. But you know, the old days of playing up country and you go to some godforsaken part of New South Wales and you'd be drinking and perhaps other extracurricular activity in the evenings. You know, that's what tours were like, but they're not anymore. And the idea that you can be a professional cricketer and just play tour is wrong.
Well, my take on this is that England planned, quite obviously, with their selection and everything else, to peak for the World Cup.
Yeah.
This is a World Cup hangover
Yeah.
that they're now having.
Yeah, like India did in 2011.
I should get to the tweets. Evil Scooties copies a tweet from Chris Stocks talking about 2009 and the famous survival by Monty Palestine and James Anderson, saying it's straw clutching time.
Well, yeah. I've got to say, actually, I still don't think the pitch is doing a huge great deal. I mean, especially on the centre of it.
Doing a little bit as Stark explores, or he would explore the pitch, but that was a full toss, attempted Yorker, but Denley was in behind it, getting the head in the right place. That's the difference between his two batsmen. Denley's head is more often in the right place.
And Etienne has sent us a meme of another Tony Bishop moment on screen, where he's going with a very sort of pursed ooh that he's looking at.
Tony Bishop looks like he's just seen a picture of Tony Bishop.
See, there's not a lot of swing there, though, Gary.
Compared
Compared to the other tests that we've had, the other wickets we've had in this test match, this is the most placid, I think, for batting. Even though it's day 5, there's a little bit of inconsistent bounce, but it's not a huge amount in it for bowlers still. Like he says,
Starks in, outside off stump, there, right?
To which Tony Bishop has himself responded, ooh, Frankie Howard. No.
Don't.
Pirate Badshaw says, I hear Peter is an expert with the banana pipistrelle.
What's the pipistrelle?
It's a bat.
No.
Evil Good says 4 wickets and 105 overs minimum to get them. Though one might imagine if it takes that long, talking about Bangladesh, Bangladesh might get the runs after all. I think they're 4 down at the moment when I looked at it.
Is this 4th day there or 5th day?
5th. No, 4th. As Stark is wide of off stump and Denley attempts to cut off the front foot but only gets a bottom edge, goes through to Lyon at gully.
Linex Lair, I don't know what this is in context to, says too bad they don't have Nerdlewood, Wee Jimmy Cranky and the Monster.
Yeah, don't know what that's about, Leah.
In fact, Bangladesh Knuckle just tells us they've lost their 6th in Chattogram. Rashid Khan's Googly has got Mamadullah for short leg for 7.
Oh. I mean, this is amazing for Afghanistan. It's in Bangladesh, yeah?
Yes.
And they're going to win.
Shakib is still there though. He's scoring fluently and he's just been joined by Sumi Osaka, who is a genuine batsman.
Stark in on leg side and Denley quietly tucks that off his hip. It goes down to long leg and they jog an easy single. There's a kind of half-hearted short leg in, by which I mean
He's got a clip
a
more
bit of
than
a
a-
distance away. Couple of slips, but he's not really attacking very much here.
This is only his second
Payne.
or third over, isn't it, of this spell?
Yeah, but I mean,
He needs to work get
Well,
into his work.
England need 340 odd. I mean, why would you have anybody on the boundary at all?
Well, exactly. And well, I mean, you might if you had a plan for the hook, but any self-respecting batsman, knowing that they're unlikely to get 383 and a day to survive, should put the hook back in its box, really.
Mitchell Stark is in. It's another attempted Yorker, and Roy, to his credit, jabs the bat down on that. And there's a slight
Timed that rather
misfield
well.
there by Patrick Cummins at mid-on, means that Roy picks up his second of the day of these. And I can see why Stark is bowling so full, but I think it's a mistake to Roy. I think with Roy, you've just got to bowl length, and he'll do the work for you.
Well, yeah, he's searching for that in-swinger, isn't he? But that's what I'm saying. The ball ain't swinging at all.
Yeah, I mean, the pitch is...
You've got to use the pitch.
Yeah, you've got to use it. It looks dry. You might get a little bit of reverse later in the day. But Stark's in again, and this is more the length to Roy. It's still fairly full, and Roy goes with hands instead of feet at it, and then inside edges into the leg side. There is no run. It's the end of the over. England are 42 for 2. Their targets are somewhat distant, 383. Good crowd in. Good crowd. Last day of a test.
He says, yeah, it's going to require Stokes doing Faf du Plessis, Matt Pryor, I imagine. Leach probably isn't the worst Monty stand-in today.
No, he probably isn't.
Although I don't want Faf du Plessis to go completely as he did in Sri Lanka, absolutely strokeless and scoreless. Amazing game where they batted for 32 overs either side of
Listen, if someone
session.
gets into that mindset and just doesn't want to play at the ball, and anything that's outside of the line doesn't play it, and then just defends what's on the stumps, and he gets in that mindset and he's decided that he's going for a draw and that's how he's going to play, and he's comfortable doing it, I don't have a problem with anyone doing that.
I think A.B. de Villiers did it, didn't he, as well?
Well, Faf did it in India, and he also did it in it was the Australians in Sri Lanka.
Wow, Bradstock has come in with 10 entries for today's GPL.
As Lyons in, and it's just clipped into the leg side, and again, slight scrappy fielding there from the Australians, most un-Australian-like, and they walk an easy single. Lyons been disappointing in this match. Bear, you're a spinner yourself. What are you going to...
I think he's bowled too flat a lot of the time, and I think
just a little bit too short for the amount of turn
I
he's
also
getting.
England have got... Who did we got rid of? We've got Moen, we've got rid of in this series, and we've also gotten rid of... Who's the other guy we've gotten rid of? We haven't, have we?
Rashid didn't play because he's injured.
Roy just defends this into the leg side. There is no run. It's the same field for Roy as for or pretty much the same close field for Roy as it is for Denley.
But we've only got 2 left-handers in the top 6 now instead of 3 and 5 in the side altogether. And I think that Lyon, like most off-spinners, is harder to bowl to right-handers.
This is an inside edge, and Wade, had he been further back, would have caught that, but it went over his head. It went quick off the inside edge, and they jog a single, so it's not quite a chance offered by Roy there, but the hard hands showing again. And
I think Bancroft would have got a hand on that because he would have been a yard or so further back.
Yeah, I think, and I think he does have to be a yard back for Roy compared to Denley because of those hard hands.
Exactly. I mean, if you get a back pad, it's like to fly further.
Denley's on strike now, though, and this is defended, and the ball goes back towards Tim Payne. No run.
So I think it's hard. I mean, he may not get as much spin off the centre of the pitch. That's the thing. He's bowling into that rough just outside off. And the thing is, it's going to turn. I mean, yesterday he was turning some really sharp here, but never going to hit the stumps. So LBW's kind of out of the equation. You're kind of relying on inside edge and playing over the top of one.
And this is swept again by Denley, a little aerially. And was that dropped there? It's coming in from mid-wicket. It's Travis Head out there, and by his reaction, I think he dropped it. It would have been a great catch because they're always great when you dive forward. We're seeing it again here. It's fairly full, and Denley did hit it in the air. The ball was in the air for a while. No, I think it dropped just in front of him. One of those ones where, to be fair to Travis Head, he was going for the catch there. He could have stood off it.
That's a good save after it's hit the
ground.
ground.
It is a good save. And Lyons in, and Roy jabs again with hands rather than with feet. The ball goes to Gully. It's the end of an eventful over. England are 45 for 2.
We've had 10 entries to the GPL today. Pop was starting at 133 quid. It's 85, 95, 105, 115, 125, 135, 145, and 200, 365, and 368. Bradstock is
Optimistic.
spreading his choices.
Jack Brough asked the question: is Saka batting at number 8 because of Night Watchman shenanigans? I don't know. I haven't looked at the.
I don't think so, because Mahdi Hassan's batting at 9, isn't he? So
Shoebill Lux, our very own Sean Tracy says, just better not Aussie and Medvedev win. You traitor! The misery bet.
I thought upset Serena didn't win.
Umpire Bell says, must plant more veg in the garden today whilst it's sunny as opposed to be a stinker tomorrow. I'll have to settle with listening to you via the mobile app. Courgettes and beets doing well.
And Denley gets sorted out by a shorter one from Stark, who's pulled his length back a long way there, and that could have gone anywhere because it took him on the gloves, and it sort of ballooned out to where Silly Point would have been, and Lyon tidied up from Gully. But they need some close-in fielders,
Yeah,
don't
they do.
I mean, maybe not a Silly Point, although there probably is a case for a Silly Point with Mitchell Stark.
While the bowlers are fresh.
But yeah, and they definitely need a short leg.
Well, I guess it depends on what you're talking. I mean, if Mitchell Mark's going to bowl full,
Leg slip.
generally, yeah, don't know about leg slip.
Starks in again and drives to Denley, and the man on the drive at short extra does the fielding. But it's a strange, these sort of passive fields that we've seen today. I mean, I don't know what England's odds are, but if they're 500 to 1, they're still too short. So, why wouldn't you just attack?
They'll be about 50 to 1, I'll tell you.
They will be 50 to 1, but what they should be is a Leicester City like 5,000 to 1.
Enlight Bystand says, Old Trafford apparently was sold out as of last night. It certainly looks very full, unlike the...
Well, I guess
is this
everyone...
an official sellout, or are they actually in the ground?
Well, everyone believes, like they did at Headingley.
Is it 10 quid to go in, though? As Stark's in, and this ball is defended to Gully, no run.
To answer your question, possibly about the defensive field, says it's not actually possible that the experience from a fortnight back, says Evil Scooters, that has left Australia a bit gun-shy and defensive in their field setting.
Well, it was all the time in the world to get the runs last time.
Well, given that you have maybe 5 times in 2,500 tests that score would have been achieved or bettered,
yeah,
I would say that they are. If that has got into their mind, they're definitely.
In that case, they should have batted on longer, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, if the target was 320, I could kind of understand, but 383. Anyway, Denley's on 24, and he gets a wide one from Stark, and he middles it, but the man at short extra is very much in business. It's a kind of James Vince position. It's the kind of place where James Vince just hits the ball. Steve Davies used to do it for Surrey as well.
A bit of political satire here from John Goodwin. He says, what's the difference between the English Test team and the British Parliament? One has focus, will work hard and do its best to have a win for us all. I'm not sure that's true of either of them, to be fair.
Both look tired, mentally exhausted, I'll give you that. So Roy has 21 from 43, Denley has 24 from 65, and now he's got rather more than that because he's cut this ball again off the front foot, and they're going to go through for 3. So he'll move to 27. England will go to 48 for 2. But perhaps more importantly, are now looking at the thick end of an hour without losing a wicket.
Yeah,
he didn't really time that particularly well. He hit it into the ground. That probably took a bit of the pace out of the ball. So it just scraped his way with lots of Australians chasing it almost to the boundary edge. Hence the 3.
Yeah, Nathan Lyon had a bit of a run out there. So Roy on strike to Stark. I think he might fancy this. So which length will Stark go? He was going very full to Roy earlier. I think he should go length. He might bounce him. Let's have a look. Stark in, left arm over. He goes length, and Roy at the very last moment jabs a bat down on it. But Stephen Smith's been doing that for 8 years successfully, and Roy is successful with a single. He goes through, and for that one, in 49 for 2, and Jason.
Nakul has an answer to that question about Bangladesh and their order. He said they've shuffled their order around to avoid having 2 left-handers at the same time. Apparently for the spin. And it's now raining there. And that's probably it for day 4 in Bangladesh.
Chittagong as opposed to Chittagong.
No.
So Are we allowed to feel the green shoots of optimism?
Well, you've just fucking ruined it, haven't you? I mean, I have been thinking that myself, but you don't want to put it out there, do you? I was just thinking Denley's on 27. He's a bit Vince-like, and his average is about 29. So he's got about 2 or 3 runs left. So and Roy, well, I mean, 22 is a fucking...
Roy on strike to Lyon, very full from Lyon for once, and Roy slaps it really. Again, no foot movement to the man at mid-off, and there is no run.
Try and get it through the gate with a spinning ball against his non-existent footwork.
Yeah, I think that's what he does. If you stay offside and swipe at the ball as it's coming past you, you haven't got much chance in this game. But let's have a look. As this is very wide, and Roy does have a swipe, but it was a full toss, and it only goes to the man at Gully, who is, I think, Cameron Bancroft. It can't be Cameron Bancroft. It would be Marcus Harris, I think.
He probably chuntering away inside his lid there. He missed out on a 4 there.
Yeah, I imagine so. It was a full banger outside off stump. He hit straight to the fielder. There's
Even
an acre of space.
It's a strange kind of shot with the wrists coming over, and Lyon is more on a length, and Roy again sort of goes with his hands at the ball. It was spinning, but not spinning back enough to threaten the stumps.
What you can say about Jason Roy is if he does manage to stay there for... he's been there for 47 balls now. I mean, he does have good hand-eye coordination. If he could get to feel confident...
This is the Butler myth, as this ball is pushed into the covers, and they'll take 2, I think.
So that's better. When he actually puts his foot out to the pitch, it looks so much more easy to play.
The Butler myth is that because they score ridiculously quickly in ODI cricket, they're going to do the same in red ball cricket.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to score, but the point is that if he's a hand-eye coordination player and he gets his confidence and he's facing enough balls, not that he's going to score necessarily, but he's actually not going to get out. My point is that he's actually going to get the bat onto the ball rather than edge it or miss it.
He's gone to 24 now, and he leaves one. Heavens above, he leaves one. Well done. And Tim Payne, rather scrappily, just deflects it to the man at short leg. It was no doubt Matthew Wade. Matthew Wade was once picked because he was more vocal wicketkeeper than I think.
Yeah, he was.
Apparently, he's very vocal because we heard him on over yesterday giving an earful to whoever's at the crease.
So he's in the right position at short leg as this ball is defended. There is no run. Who was the wicketkeeper on the last Ashes tour? He was quite tidy. Peter Neville, wasn't it? And Wade was picked once because he was more vocal than Neville. So your tweets again.
Elixir of Azazel gives us talking about slow scoring or defensive batting, gives us a scorecard from the South Africa versus India game where they batted for 143 overs at a run rate of 1.
See, that's...
And de Villiers was 43 out, of 297 balls.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. I think he
See, that's absorbing in its own way, really.
It is, absolutely. You know, every ball is an event, as David Lloyd says. And
there's a couple of tweets from Neil Harris and Phil Burton talking about potential missed front foot no balls again.
Yeah, there seems... I mean, Pat Cummins really challenges
the sooner they bring in this experimental regulation where it's checked by the third umpire, the better.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that... three things I'd like to see changed about the no ball law is, first one, they should be called by the third umpire. I'll give you the other 2 in a moment. Mitchell Stark is in, and this ball is defended by Denley, and they steal a single into the leg side. Good, you need to rotate the strike. Well played, lads. My second one is that you should be able to refuse the additional ball, particularly when you're protecting a tail ender. And no balls are often used to bounce tail enders because it's always handy with a
they are. Sometimes they're used in an intimidatory fashion. It's true.
Knock them back. And the other thing I would do is, people say you should have a free hit in Test cricket.
That'd be quite entertaining.
I wouldn't do that because it spoils the game a little bit.
It does a bit.
Pure. What I would do is, once you've bowled 3 no balls, I think you should have a 2-run penalty for your 4th, 5th, and subsequent no balls. It shouldn't just be allowed to pay 1.
Well, maybe it should be a rising scale. After 10, you get 3 runs.
Well, maybe so. This ball is defended by Jason Roy, who did curiously move his feet to that one. It's almost playing by numbers, isn't it? I'm going to be Steve Smith now. I'm going to go to the...
Stark's come around the wicket, hasn't he?
Maybe
Change
that was
the angle.
Yeah, good point there.
Knuckles giving us some odds. He said, somehow, England are 33-1 to win.
I got them at 50-1 and 66-1.
The draw is 2-1, and Australia are 5-2 on.
2-1 the draw. Wow.
So Australia come in quite a lot.
Well, WinViz has got England essentially at 100-1 because their chance of winning is 1%. But the draw looks very high there to me at 37%.
Well, we haven't lost a wicket yet. As soon as we lose a wicket, that'll drop dramatically.
Stark's in and Roy
That's a
drives. Not that nice a shot because the weight was on the back foot rather than the front foot. But yeah, good timing, and he gets 4 through extra cover.
Well
I mean,
done.
the net result is
2 + 2 is on
The net result is that.
I was going to say the net result is very similar to Steve Smith, but the method of execution is very different. Steve Smith seems to get, on the offside at least, a lot of runs by impeccably timed shots with no foot movement at all.
Yeah, I mean,
out to
Steve
the
Smith
pitch.
doesn't
And at
move his
least
fucking
John,
feet.
there was some movement with his front foot there from Jason Roy.
Yeah, there was, and he did get some weight onto the front foot. It wasn't wholly convincing, and the hands still went very hard, but you know, he's still there on 28. He's gutsing it out here, and credit to him for that, as he's just beaten all ends up by a Mitchell Stark delivery, which just indescribable. What did he do there? I can't say.
Well, I think
he just
it's a
took
different
the ball
angle,
away
isn't
very
it?
slightly.
Yeah, it's slightly gone away. Stark's come around the wicket. He's changed the angle, so he's coming wide of the crease into Jason Roy, and that one has just gone a little nibbled a bit and squared him up massively. But he wasn't out.
Because it's forcing him to play shots because every ball is coming back towards the stumps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's
And then that's
increasing
that.
the amount of shots he plays on the basis that on the law of averages, he's going to muck up sooner or later.
And I think it's also Mitchell Stark's worked out that there is no swing as yet with this ball. And he's in again to Roy, who defends with hands, head and
In line.
bat all in a line. He can
Bloody
do
hell.
it.
He can do it, yes. We've got some comments on YouTube here as well. Alexander Young says 2019 Ashes is all about only Rajasthan Royal players for him. Well, there you go. Yeah, well, you know, some people are like that. Dave S. America needs the parliamentary system. Their Congress leaves him unaccountable. Those people are having a political argument.
The mother of all parliaments is the mother of all cock-ups at the moment,
Oh, it
so
is.
maybe not.
To which Dave
good
S.
time
replies,
for that.
order! In a fashion
Order!
of our man Burko.
Mr. Peter Bone. This ball is defended by Jason Roy into the offside. There is no run. It's the end of the over. England are 56 for 2.
Pirate Badshaw says there doesn't seem to be good forecast for tomorrow. It would be a shame if they denied victory, talking about Bangladesh versus Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they need how many wickets? 4 wickets.
Yep.
You'd hope they get enough play for it. Seems to be that the rain's coming in at the
Forecast
end of every
90% chance of thunderstorm.
day. Yeah, but maybe it's later, like today. Anyway,
A chance to catch up with your comments because there is a drinks break now.
Ian Shaw says further to the escalating penalty for no balls, it should be on a whole team basis. Not sure if it's stuck over both innings, but so if your mate bowls 2 no balls
Oh, I
and you
see.
bowl a third
Yeah.
one, then it applies. And James Moose says, given that Australia are trying for wickets and runs don't matter as much, why are they not being more aggressive in their field placing? Well, we've I think asked and answered that question, and we'll have a quick look on Quick Tracker, see what people on there are saying when the mouse
well,
behaves.
you're doing that on Dave S. on YouTube. Says purely defensive batting for a full day. For a draw, kind of sucks though for the fans. I don't know, it can be quite absorbing. If we start losing wickets but they're still being defensive and it gets down to we got 3 wickets left and an hour to go, I mean that is
Jimmy and Monty.
I remember doing Test Match Sofa when we had those 2 draws with Graham Onions in the end in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
And they were so absorbing. Anyway, carry on, Jason.
Mir Hassan Mew says hi. Umesh Padalilan says England should bat through until tea time without losing any more wickets and then take a decision depending on the required runs for a victory at that time. I think I think that's the height of optimism.
Well, when we,
certainly bat through to lunch and then assess then.
No, I think you bat through till tea.
I think you have to do it in sort of hourly or 30-minute sessions.
I mean,
and then
the point is, I guess,
after
if a partnership grows and the Australians don't get wickets, then they might get a bit edgy and start throwing a few loose balls up because they're trying to make something happen. Runs might flow at a point. And then, exactly, you see where you are later. They have got to go through to pretty much 7 o'clock. I mean, in that game when West Indies... and you said they were never going to do it. And you needed 120 in the last session. 120 in a session is easily doable. You've got wickets in hand.
They were 3 down, though, weren't they?
They're only 3 down, exactly. That's what I mean. If England get to the last session, I say they only lose 2 more wickets the entire day, and they get to after tea, and Stokes is in with Butler, say, and they need 140, they might give it a little tap until one of them gets out. It's a dangerous ploy, but
I think they would very happily go to the Oval with the Ashes
yes,
alive.
I think they will too.
Yeah. Another point of view from messages about the no ball question. He says, "What's your super penalty for no balls? The problem lies simply with the fact that they're not being enforced.
Well, true.
The current penalty is quite sufficient if it's enforced."
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't see the need to go out and run.
And Ralph the Wonderlam says, "Afternoon, Gorillas. Afternoon, everyone." Channeling Richie. "Are we doomed yet?"
Yeah, but my view is that they're not enforced, but they're also sides are quite happy to pay
the cost, yeah.
Because a no ball, even quite a small no ball, does arrive at you quite a bit quicker than a ball delivered from the right place. And when you're using the bouncer to push a batsman back, and particularly when you're bowling at the tail, it's worth paying 4 or 5 runs for 5 no balls that are on you.
Yeah.
So I think the penalty doesn't fit the crime. It's worse that they're not called, of course, but when they are called, they should be punished.
The perception in my head, at least, that short balls are easier to play. They're actually fuller balls.
Lyon is resuming, and Joe Denley just flicks him into the leg side, as he's done quite successfully for a while now. Takes a single.
Actually, I get the feeling that fuller balls are on you, have the perception of being on you quicker, but they're easier to defend. Short balls have the perception of being on you slightly slower, even if that's not actually the case.
They hurt
but
more.
They're harder to get out of the way of.
Yeah, and they hurt more. As this ball is wide of off stump, and Jason Roy leaves it, and it jumped out of the foot hold there rather than the foot marks. It actually jumped out of where the bowler. Oh no, it was a foot mark and jumped at Tim Payne, who did well to take the ball actually. It's amazing to think that keepers kept without helmets for so many years, isn't it?
And paid the price for it.
And they did, yeah. Lyon is in, and this is a length ball. That's the length to bowl to Roy, but he gets the front foot well out to it and gets the hands over it. No run.
What it was, wasn't it? I mean, Keyswetter,
yeah.
he lost
Boucher.
Boucher was standing up there. Keyswetter was standing back, wasn't he?
No, I think he was standing up.
Was it?
I'm not certain.
Downton was standing up as well.
Yeah, this ball, it takes Roy on the pad. There's a huge appeal from Nathan Lyon, who then says no.
It's outside the line.
Outside the line. That did keep very low there, but Roy was back when he should have been forward.
Possibly, but it didn't spin.
Definitely. See there, that's just length there. In fact, it's maybe even a bit full of length, and Roy just goes nowhere with his feet.
Only just outside the line.
Hit the back pad, and he does come down the track a bit here. He'd be much better advised to do that, and just pushes it to the right of Patrick Cummins. He's had a difficult time at mid-on. He sprawls to get that one, and they're through for a single. So we're seeing the LBW shout, and it does hit him some way outside the off stump. It would have been umpire's call, but only just
shaving
on the stumps. But that's good. Second line of defence is your pad, and your second pad is also a defensive option. As Denley gets one down the leg side, he just tucks it off his hip, and a sprawling stop by, I think, David Warner down there. It's the end of the over. England are 58 for 2. Roy has 29, Denley has 29, and you will have surmised there are 0 extras, but we're very much the stars rather than the extras coming in now to do commentary.
Yep, you owe us all right. You think this alternative cricket commentary stuff comes cheap? Well, we need some dollar bills to help pay our bills, so please go to patreon.com/GorillaCricket and sign up to make a regular monthly donation. You know there is literally nothing like Gorilla Cricket's coverage, so don't be tight. Dip into your virtual pocket and throw some cash our way. See, Rihanna knows. Patreon.com/GorillaCricket.
She's a wise woman, is Rihanna even.
Indeed she is. And Mitchell Stark is left arm and around and left alone by Jason Roy.
I thought you were going to segue into Mitchell Stark is a wise woman too.
I was trying to think how to do it, and I thought I can't make that work.
It's not going to happen, is it?
I can't make that work, so I decided not to.
We've had a lot of people joining us on YouTube. We just shout out to all those guys. Just been trying to reply to a few of you and say hello. Please let everyone know that we are on YouTube. It's another way of listening to us, and even frightfully having to watch us.
Well, yes.
Facebook Live on various channels.
Absolutely. 58 for 2. Mitchell Stark again, his left arm around and nicely lent into by Jason Roy. Pushed away to cover where I think was that Marcus Harris. Not the tallest, is he, Marcus Harris?
No, it's quite
easy enough to spot.
Small chap. I don't want to get overexcited, but I just feel as if Roy's getting his feet moving just a little bit better than he was first thing, and that's
maybe he's gone out of net with Neil Stewart as well.
Ah, right. Who was it who went to have one? Was it Rory Burns?
It was Rory Burns, yes.
Well, I think it's
to
just
tighten up his technique.
Well, it's not. I don't even think it's necessarily that. I think it's just the benefit of staying out there for some time and seeing these bowlers for a little while.
Well, he is ready to face now, and this one again he watches very nicely. Just puts a front foot forward, waits for the ball onto the bat.
He actually waited
under the
for the
eye
ball,
line.
didn't he?
Yeah,
He waited for the
played
ball.
that nicely.
It's just maybe just that sort of reaching out in front of him is a sign of and a signal of his nerves as much as anything.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't he be nervous? He's he's fighting for a Test career here.
As more than one people have remarked, including us. I mean, and Kevin Peterson, I noticed, had tweeted, these are the days that define careers, and both of these two are in the position where they could be heroes, a la Ben Stokes from Headingley. Stark it is again, around the wicket, full and left alone very tidily by Roy, and it's
But are they
through to Tim Payne.
just for one day?
Heroes just for Very good
Well,
point.
yes, very good. Thank you, David Bowie. Wonderful song. It's written about two lovers under the Berlin Wall, wasn't it? Or about the Berlin Wall.
Now, I've just noticed.
I don't know. I'll have to defer to someone with
It
more
was.
musical knowledge.
It was a rhetorical question.
Someone
and
closer
it was.
to the time frame, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
I've just noticed that on the bottom of Jason Roy's bat is black opal. Now, is that not Gladstone Small's travel company?
Ooh, it might be.
I think it is.
Gladstone, he's sponsoring Roy's bat. And so, oh dear, that one's it was full, maybe looking for the Yorker. Roy's having a quizzical look. It seemed to somehow get under that, just as Hendo mentioned Gladstone's travel company, Black Opal, if you want to find them. It seems to, it was a full Yorker, wasn't it? Squirted on the taken just in front of him, bounced just in front of the gloves of Tim Payne. He was late on it, wasn't it, Roy? It was a good ball from Stark.
Yep.
He has his hands on his head. Well, for much of this series, sponsoring Jason Roy's bat's probably been quite cheap, because you either that or you paid an awful lot and you haven't necessarily got your money's worth. But it's doing a job now. 29 not out for him. 29-2 for Denley. Stark in. Driven back past the bowler. Is it going to go? No, it's stopped, and it's half stopped. It was parried by a diving Cummins, and then Matthew Wade goes scampering after it. He has a little slip. And
Did
it
they
all
have some
means
overnight rain? Because you've got the feeling that the underfoot is just a little bit greasy there.
I wasn't
And the
aware of
pitch
it,
is not particularly quick. 'Cause
Rain in
they did have
Manchester.
chased the ball down quite a couple of times to the boundary edge.
Yeah, Cummins was extraordinary. He also slid in on his tummy, didn't he? Did Cummins got an arm to it and then sort of pushed it further away, and Matthew Wade had to run down and do the tidying up. He then nearly fell over.
Yes.
All of which meant that
Roy got an extra run.
Roy at 2, and he's on 31. Nathan Lyon will take up the attack again. He's going to be bowling his 6th over, number 17, and he'll be bowling to Joe Denley. Joe Denley, of course, who in 2018, when he was recalled, said, "I went missing for a few years." Well, this is a good day to find yourself again, and he jumps 2 steps forward and kills any potential turn that may have been imparted by Lyon, and pushes it away to the onside.
I need to get through some tweets here because I'm quite a long way behind.
Do
Josh
it, do it.
Robinson said, Auckland 213, talking about great defensive performances. My all-time favourite, boozed up through the night cricketing following experience. Well, that's probably one of many for you, Josh.
Lyon in. Ooh, a little inside edge. Lyon's having a big shout, but I don't know about you, Hendo. I saw a whopping great inside edge.
Did you?
There.
I didn't see that, and I thought though he'd come a long way down, I think it's one of those that look fairly straight. He hit across it a little bit.
Let's have another look now.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
There's an edge on that. It's probably turning too much.
Yes,
He
it's
is a
done.
long
Hey,
way
it was
down.
done. It's done too much.
Very long way down. In comes Lyon again, past umpire Dharmasena.
Well, I actually think
Push back to the bowler.
you were saying he killed the spin on the previous ball. I think he actually struggled to get there. I think it was very good bowling from Lyon. He's trying to get down the wicket to him, which is good from Denley in one respect. But I thought he was in a very difficult position. That previous ball could easily have popped one up to the short leg. But he's trying. He's thinking, isn't he?
In comes Lyon, waited for nicely by Denley, worked away through mid-wicket. They've taken one, they'll come back for 2. And that was nicely played by Denley, unhurried, just really eased away. Travis Head did the tidying up.
John Goodwin says both the batters are channeling Brearley, but in an exciting way. Huey Kelly says hello and goodbye.
Kelly. Oh, and goodbye.
Sure, we should particular hellos to Gary Naylor, who's now in the green room.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
Arthur says I dislike Nicholas Soames politically, but I assume he'd be better England captain than Joe Root.
Oh, well, okay. As in Skips Lyon, plenty of air. This one. There's a shout, and I can't quite see why. Tim Payne has both.
Well,
his gloves up.
They think it's pad first.
Well,
and he's
didn't
hidden
look
the bat
like it
behind his stump.
Payne did ask, didn't he?
I think that the questioning was because they don't really think that he played a shot at that, and I think they've got some argument there. He sort of thrust the pad out, the bat was alongside it, but he wasn't really playing at it, I don't think. He's kind of left that in his last minute, he's sort of brought the bat through, hasn't he? But I think it'd been hard to give that one out.
It was a long way outside of off stump. In comes Lyon, down the track, turns it into a full toss. Denley worked to mid-wicket, he's on the run, they take a single, even though there was a man there, it was Mitchell Stark. But there was there's going to be overthrows. There might actually be 4 overthrows. Will there? No, there won't.
Not
it's
quite.
Just hauled in short of the rope. Sloppy cricket. And from Australia, they will not be happy with that.
You get 3 in the end.
And then he gets 3. And there is a teapot from Nathan Lyon, who's taking. Umpire Damascene has about 6 pairs of sunglasses on his floppy brimmed hat. We're having a look. Stark slid into that. Threw it over Lyon's head. It then evaded Mitchell Stark. And, that's not one for the coaching manual when it comes to fielding, I'm afraid. Too high for Lyon. Bounced in front of Stark and evaded him.
And Harris is chasing it.
Harris had to put in a spurt to stop it going all the way to the boundary. Many happy smiling faces in the Old Trafford crowd.
Knackle comes up with an interesting stat. He says average runs per dismissal this series from Crick Fears. Players who are not Steve Smith, 30.8. Players who are Steve Smith, 134.2.
Yeah.
So he's 4 times better than anybody else in this series.
Averaging about 130, is he, from recollection?
Yeah. Roger Bennett says, it occurs to me that Denley and Roy sound like they could be a comedy act. Maybe if their cricket careers don't work out, that's an option they should consider.
You never know.
Jade Adams says, do you think Australia will drop Warner? Would you drop him? Moving away from giving him Root a rest?
Well, I mean, actually, does it not a lot of it depend on whether Australia get a win here?
It does. If you don't change a winning side, generally, is the rule.
But would
Ashes already retained.
With the Ashes already retained, it could go either way, couldn't it? You can say, well, pressure's off, and he might as well have a knock, and or you could say that someone else could come in and have a chance at the end of a test that didn't mean that much. Anyway, it is, as you say,
Pat Cummings, the man who took 2 in 2, 2 for 13, off 6, and been bowling superbly.
Paceman Pat, and his baggy green cap. Early in the morning, just before the warm-up, he has to pull out with a dodgy bat.
In from the stake and then driven by Joe Denley. But driven straight to Marcus Harris at cover and no run.
That's how good the fielding is, actually. I think he did really well there, Harris. It was a lovely shot from Denley. It deserved 4, really. But Harris dived to his right and stopped that. A gorgeous stroke. You feel
that's the advantage of having a short cover.
They
because
cover
they cover
the
more of the angle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Cummins. He has bowled beautifully, though. 65 for 2, though, England. Cummins is in, his collar flapping. Full left on height by Denley, and
good leave.
Again, a good leave. Abasar Poydal on Crick Tracker says, "Oh my God, Roy has passed 30, over 30 in this series." Yes, he has
for the first time.
Yes, he has. Let's have a look at this.
It
was height, did come back a long way. Was left on height and turned out to be pretty well judged, I would say.
Yeah, thing is though, I mean, we have talked a little bit about the fact that the pitch does, or was seeming to yesterday, keep a little bit lower. Come back to that.
You don't want to do that to the molly grubber.
No.
Be in again. And that was looking to slant that across the right-handed Denley, who takes him high on the pad, but I think would have been well missing leg. Certainly no sense of appeal, even though the Steve Smith, who we have spoken so much of, let out a bit of an ooh and put his both hands above his head. He was hit well above the knee roll, and
That's
no
going to
doubt
go
it was going
sort
down
of
leg.
over 4.5 stumps. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they've actually been working on their reviews here at Australia. They seem to be a lot more reluctant to go up.
More debate, I've noticed. Yeah.
Well, they wait until the very last second to review. Pretty much. They've got somebody watching the clock. Like
Cummins
a
is
hawk.
in full. Ooh, and that was a streaky old inside edge from Joe Denley. It's down to long leg, and he'll get himself a single. In truth, I'm not sure he knew too much about it, but he is still there. On
He's
35.
rather a compulsive driver, isn't he? And we talk about compulsive hookers a lot of the time, but Denley is a real compulsive driver. I mean, that wasn't a full half volley, and he's gone after it. I mean, you can when the pitch is true, and it's not a bad pitch here, but just every now and again gets himself into a bit of trouble.
He knew literally nothing about that, and had to sort of spin round to figure out where the ball had gone.
Yeah.
But it brings Jason Roy, who's past 30, on to strike. He's going to be facing 2 more balls of this over from
Some
Patrick
interesting
Cummins.
questions after this.
Yep, and that's left. Helicopter style by Jason Roy. I'm utterly convinced that almost every batsman in this series is now adopting a slightly more extravagant leave.
It's just, I think it's just a
Or
trend,
are we
isn't
more
it?
aware of it?
No, I think
we
they
looking
are.
harder?
Well, I
I
think
don't
it's
know why they're doing it. I think it's just for a
They're
bit
doing
of.
it to get the bat as far away from the ball as
Well,
possible.
no, I don't think they are. I just think it's an affectation that they've copied from Smith, just for a bit of fun. I don't think that there's anything much that you can read into it. I mean, if you want to get the bat as far away from the ball as possible, you lift it high above your head. You don't bring it forward and pretend to play a little pretend to pull shot. That to me is just an affectation.
Cummins in again, right arm over.
Bowled him.
And he's bowled
Bowled
him, absolutely. Hook, line and sinker. Roy has gone, he played all around that. Nip back, I have to say. Australia fans are up and cheering. England have lost their first wicket of the morning. It is Jason Roy for 31. Bowled comprehensively by Patrick Cummins.
Well, you're just beginning to think.
We
that
dared
he's-
to hope, weren't we?
Well,
We
you
were
did.
daring to hope.
That's
I mean-
a carbon copy of his first innings dismissal.
Well, he's always
Pretty
got that gap between bat and pad when he's pushing out at the ball, hasn't he?
He's so annoyed. He's thrown his bat on the ground in anger as he's walking off.
I just,
And that could be
well,
a very long walk indeed, and a very slow walk, if I know Jason Roy.
I feel a bit of sympathy for Jason Roy. I don't think, even though he only got 30 odd runs today, and he's stuck it out for an hour and 10-15 minutes against some great bowling, and just as he's beginning to look a little bit more confident. But the trouble is, he's that kind of player that there's always a chance to get him out, and he has got to go away if he wants to be a Test player. We talked at the top of the day that this could be his final Test appearance. But if he wants to be a Test player, he's got to go away into county cricket and work on playing the ball later and playing the ball with softer hands. Otherwise, there's no point in leaving him out there in this situation doing what he's doing at the moment. He has to go and modify his technique, I think.
Well, he was trying so hard. Now, Joe, the man of the hour, the man of Headingley, the man who
Of the World Cup final.
desperately doesn't want his Headingley heroics to be in a non-Ashes winning cause.
Ben?
Is this man?
Ben,
We're just watching that dismissal again. There was Hendo, as you rightly said. The bat was a long way from the pads, and there was a huge inviting gap.
Barn door.
And it
Well,
was a nip backer.
It wasn't it backer, but it's what he hadn't done. What he hadn't been doing the last 2 or 3 balls. He had been getting that front foot forward, and he didn't do that this time. And once he does that, the gap is enormous.
Well, that was the last ball of the over, so Nathan Lyon is going to be bowling to Ben Stokes.
No, he won't. He's bowling to
Oh,
Joe
he's
Denley.
bowling to Joe Denley, I beg your pardon. Of course he will, yes.
Get some quick tweets in. Mark Thorne says, doesn't mean much. There's 24 World Test Championship points riding on that oval test.
I
think that's,
you're right.
Lyons in, and oh my lord, it beats the outside edge of Denley and spat and leapt. And Tim Payne got half a glove on it, up high above his right shoulder, and couldn't field it effectively.
I thought there was a reaction as if he'd got an edge on that. Oh,
He
it's gone
got-
off the pad, hasn't it?
Well, he might have got a small inside edge.
onto the pad.
Yeah, we'll have another look.
Might well have done.
Yes, I think he did get an inside edge. Line in again onto the back foot by Denley. Worked away to square leg. He'll get off strike. He'll move on to 36. And Ben Stokes will now be ready to face his first delivery. I think there was an inside edge there, Hendo.
Yeah, and when Payne knocked it up, I mean, the slip was racing after that. Yes, there's definitely an inside edge on that. And so a bit of a lucky escape, perhaps.
Well, you need luck. Denley's had some. He's owed some. I genuinely feel he's owed some this series. And not a bad day to call in all of that, everything he thinks he's owed, providing he has the strength of technique and character to make the most of it.
It's going to be interesting.
2 slips in place for Ben Stokes. A man at silly mid-off or silly point. And that one kept rather low from Lyon, and Stokes had to jab down on it.
That is the worry. I mean, if they want to go on the back foot, and they do, I think, to sort of half watch it off the pitch, but also when you've got a man in front like that, you don't want to be pushing too far out. But if the ball's going to keep low like that, it makes you think twice about it.
Quick tweet from Arthurshire after this.
In comes Lyon round the wicket, and Stokes again nicely tucked in behind it.
He says Australia would be more likely to drop Warner if they included Patterson in the squad. Can't see as they'd be keen to engineer a game for Joe Burns.
Yeah, I don't see what Pattinson's got to do with it, to
I
be
think
honest.
Patterson is
Patterson, okay.
Presumably replacement
Stokes has his
batsman.
bat raise. Ooh, and that one rather squared him up. He had a big foot forward on the outside, edgily to that man at silly point. And that's is that the end of that over? Yes, it is the end of that Nathan Lyon over. Number 23 for him, still without a wicket.
Well, this is where
Very deep third man says, I feel a lot better. And then David, who left from left field, says, well, he's deliberately not swinging the ball, so the Pommy batsmen are lulled in a false sense of security. Meet mid-pitch and then go, how easy is this? And then get out next ball.
Well, it's not that easy. I mean, they are still getting the more than the odd ball to do something off the pitch, and they have done, and all the seamers have throughout this game. There hasn't really been any swings, so that has nullified Mitchell Starc to a certain degree, but Starc has been trying to produce the Yorkers, hasn't done it particularly successfully so far, and he's out of the attack now. But Cummins 3 for 14.
Cummins 3 for 14, and he's been, a couple of those balls have been quite magnificent as he's in, and that one has it took Denley in the midriff, I think. Again, it's that nip backer. It's very similar. The 2 balls actually that got Root
Leaped a bit
and got Roy were not dissimilar. Root, I think, was the slightly better ball in that.
Well, it went away from him, didn't it?
Yeah, it went away from him. Whereas, you're right. Whereas the Roy delivery came back into him.
Came back into him also. I mean, Root didn't do anything wrong, whereas Roy left an enormous gap.
He did. Cummins is turning. He's got Starc and Wade for company at mid-on and mid-off, and forward, nicely forward, solidly forward comes Joe Denley to push it away into the offside.
Mark Cranfield Adam says, Godspeed Ben Stokes. I think we all agree with that.
We do.
Steve Smith, 100 man, at the Widow 9 says, the pitch has died overnight.
I don't agree.
I'm not sure that's true.
I don't agree.
I think they haven't made the most of it this morning, perhaps, and the conditions overhead might not be as conducive to swing bowling as they were yesterday.
There's been very little swing in the whole of this test match. I don't know what people are talking about. There's been a lot of movement, or quite decent movement, off the pitch when you've got the seam right, but there's been very little swing, apart from a bit last night.
Well, Cummins is in past Erasmus full, and Joe Denley is very much has the measure of it, and once again it's away into the offside for no run.
Ravinair says, one brief hour of glorious hope, and now, after that, le deluge.
Well, this is the point, actually. I mean, what England have to do...
The dam has burst.
Well, exactly that. They have to ensure that it hasn't. They need to do some running repairs very, very quickly. What England can't afford to do is lose 2 or 3 wickets in a quick rush.
Are you suggesting it's crumbling and it's England's Whaley Bridge moment?
Well, in a way, yes. We need the Chinooks in to drop some big hefty bags
of cement.
Yes, indeed.
Joe Denley will be doing his best to be the little boy with his finger in the dam, and that is not pushed away, left in fact, over his shoulder and through to Tim Payne behind the stumps.
And a timely reminder from Messages that GPL alert, it will close at the fall of the next wicket or lunch, whichever is later. Pot is £148 so far. Get in quick.
Yep, it's growing and it rolls over if you don't quite win one day, then all that huge pot is going to be there and get bigger.
Well, it'll be there on Thursday if it's not claimed today.
It will. Not much gap between these two tests, of course. In comes Cummins. Last ball of his over. No, second last ball of his over. Dabbed through slip, and he'll get 4 runs for it. Will Denley? He'll take those.
I don't think it was a super shot, actually. I think it was another one he was trying to leave.
That's an unintentional fall.
Yeah, I think he was trying to leave it at the last moment.
It's away past Marnus Labuschagne, who's at third slip, wasn't it? Yeah, I think you're right, Endo. He was trying to leave it. But he did. He played it with, as they say, soft hands. And those soft hands meant that it was played down and the ball sped away.
Kevin Weston has a comment on our discussion about no balls and penalties
71
after
for 3. Cummins in, Denley forward, pushed away again. Wide of that third slip. They've taken one, they're going to come back for 2. So that was nicely and intentionally played by Denley, wasn't it? Again, it was a little dab. Marnus Labuschagne chewing, as he always is, relentlessly, was the man to do the fielding. Target of 383, nominal target of 383, I think. It's come a little bit closer. Jason, you were about to say something.
Yeah, he says that the extra penalties are okay, apart from in a situation like this where the team batting out for a draw has to survive an additional ball because of the bowling side's error. Well, I think Gary answered that by saying giving the batting side the option of having the additional ball or not, but still allowing the run penalty.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea, actually. It's not often I agree with Gary, as you know, but on this occasion I think it is a good one, because you're right. If you're trying to last at the end of a day, or at the end of towards the end of an innings or a match even.
Ben Stokes yet to get off the mark. Nathan Lyon is into him. Stokes is forward, pushed away into the onside. Marcus Harris does the fielding, and there's no run.
And it also negates the use of the bounce at the end of the over to pin a batsman at one end, so that the right batsman could be on strike at the beginning of the next over.
Yeah, it's a very good point as well. Yeah,
and we still have those 2 slips and a silly point around Ben Stokes. That one straightened and was nicely dealt with by Stokes with a full face of the bat.
Strange Cats agrees with us. He says he's a good bat, Jason Roy, but he has a lot to learn about Test match cricket.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to learn it in the Test arena. I think he needs to go back and work on his technique.
I think that's right. As Lyon is in, and this one does spit and turn past the left-hander.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lyon. I think, despite the fact that Ben Stokes is a fabulous batsman, I do think that Lyon enjoys bowling at him on pitches that are doing a little bit like this one.
With those 2 slips there and runs to play with, and he's looking like that. He's getting some turn, and Stokes, though, is forward to push this into the onside. Lyon skips over as though he's going to field off his own bowling, but in the end, someone saves him the trouble. Gary's appearing in his stripy shirt. 73 for 3. There are 2 balls left of this Nathan Lyon over. Ben Stokes is on to the back foot again, just pushes this into the onside. There is no run yet to get off the mark is Ben Stokes. We have the Bear and Gary have both appeared. Lyon is in and round the wicket. Forward comes Stokes. Solid as you like. 73 for 3. Stokes yet to get off the mark. Denley still there, riding his luck perhaps, but he's there on 42. And we will have a change.
The best things in life are free. Just like Gorilla Commentary, we need money to Patreon. That's what I want. .com/Gorilla Cricket. We need money. I don't like the BBC. I prefer Gorilla Commentary. I want money. $20 for the archive. That's what I want.
Yes, and here comes Pat Cummins. He's up to the crease, bowls wide. Denley just leaves it through the pane, and there ain't no run. Another Grand Prix today, isn't there? See, there was a cock up in qualifying yesterday. 73 for 3, England. Stokes has yet to get off the mark. He's had 9 balls to do it, and he hasn't managed it. Denley is 42 not out of 89. He's batted quite nicely. And Roy lasted longer than I thought he would, which was a bonus, I have to say.
Well, it got us some of the way towards
well, you
to
know,
lunch, didn't it?
When I came in this morning, I was expecting Roy to be out in the first 15 minutes I was here. I did win some money actually because I bet yesterday that the next wicket to fall would either be LBW or bowled. Ooh, that one goes a little bit off the seam. Decent pace, good line by Pat Cummins in the corridor. And squares Denley up a bit. He definitely played at that, played and missed. Threw the keeper no run.
We were speculating in the green room, weren't we, Burr, that Cummins might have been a bit angered by being kept out of the attack for so long. And when Payne brought him on, you saw him point to himself and say, "Me?" As if A, he wasn't expecting to be brought on, or maybe an element of sarcasm. What, you're coming to me now? He is the number 1 bowler in the world, and he's shown it in this match. And I was very surprised Payne spent so much time without him in this
shown it all series, isn't he? Played from the crease really, defended up to mid-off by Denley, and there's no run. I mean, him and Broad have been the standout bowlers in this series.
Hazelwood's been excellent.
Hazelwood has been excellent, but I think Broad has,
Broad's been really good.
Everyone's been
really
talking
good.
about Archer because of his pace and Payne Smith and everything, but Broad has quietly gone about his work.
He's been particularly good to left-handers around the wicket, and I give credit to Broad because he has slightly reinvented himself. Certainly bowled quicker this year than I've seen him for at least 5 years.
Well, a couple of years. Definitely last summer everyone was saying he wasn't getting any wickets and his pace was down, and everyone was saying maybe he was the one who should be dropped, but he's brought himself back into contention. Stoutly defended by Denny on the back foot, back up to the bowler, no run.
He now looks odds on to get 500 Test match wickets, which I wouldn't have said 2 years ago.
Well, he's on 460 odd, 70 odd. So, he's got he's 33, 32, 33.
Denley?
No, Broad.
Was you abroad?
Yeah.
I will tell you.
Get the notes in the crocodile clips out, Tony.
Crocodile clips. 3 for 20, Cummins.
Yeah, I know. 2 in and over last night, wasn't it? Cummins in, bowls. Ooh, dear, that's a nasty shot from then he's trying to force it through the offside. Sort of a crooked bat inside half, goes out mid-wicket.
Should be
leaving. 33.
Yeah,
he's 33.
He should be leaving that, Denley. He's halfway to making a success of this experiment of opening him, because if he gets 84 of 186 deliveries, we'll have to say that that's a success, but even he could do with leaving the ball more often than he does.
Yeah, it's quite a pleasant batsman to look at, actually.
Yeah, has a bit of James Vince about some of his stroke play.
He's already past 30.
Yeah, that's true. That's full, driven nicely by Denley, but mid-off's quite straight. Matthew Wade, I think, and he will field it and there will be no run.
Nakapandi says Stark got the second new ball to swing for about half an hour in England's first innings. They got a couple of wickets as a result, but other than that, it's all been off the pitch.
Yeah, it has, and it's not seam movement off the pitch here hasn't been as pronounced as any of the other pitches, and I still think the middle of the pitch here is really doing it. It's come onto the bat reasonably well, and I mean, of course there's wear and tear in the footmarks and stuff, and if they get hit, your one's going to keep low, but it's not too many balls have kept low, and there's not extravagant movement. Cummins is getting a bit. Stark was getting nothing out of the pitch earlier, really. 1 or 2 balls.
Yeah, Cummins has got the most movement, and
Hazelwood gets a fair bit as well.
I'm surprised he's not bowling.
Well, exactly, same here, but they've decided that Lyon's going to pretty much bowl all day from one end, it looks like, as Stokes defends that one out off Lyon as he starts his 4th over. Square on the leg side and there's no run. No, it's 9th over, sorry, Jesus. Got that totally wrong. Still yet to get off the mark. Sure, he won't mind. He got 3 off 73 balls or something in his innings. That it's goes deep in his crease. Turns, just about jabs the bat on it before it crashes into his back pad right in front of off stump.
Yeah, this style of playing line.
I've never liked this against spinners.
Yeah, Stokes is playing back and he's waiting for the ball and playing it off the pitch.
This is a real thing that's been brought about a little bit by DRS, as that's defended up to mid-off and it's no run. In the fact that you can't now just pad the ball away
Yeah.
because so people have decided. And also one-day cricket, people just like to play it off the pitch in one-day cricket so they can nurdle it. But I always think it's really risky. And I look at it, I go, could be out any ball, And it goes back this time, hits. Who's that in at silly mid-off? Wade? That'd be handy to hit Wade.
I think the other thing is that your concentration levels have got to be really high because you're watching the ball all the way onto the bat. You're not just sort of propping forward, smother, prop forward, smother.
No, but if you do prop forward and just smother, it's, you can get into a routine with that, and it's very difficult to actually score because when a scoring opportunity comes along, you don't take it, you just defend it. That's on the back foot again from the crease, defended back down the track, spins and straightens a little bit, but Stokes is right behind it, and there's no run.
Mark Cranfield Adams says, I just switched on the TV, brackets, having been to church this morning, and Roy was bowled.
Oh, go back to church.
Well, I guess...
Go start praying some more.
It depends which side you're supporting, I suppose.
Stokes in, and that is going to get him off the mark. It's two-leg side by line. Stokes just gets inside the line and works it behind square. On the leg side, out to the fielder in the deep, and he gets himself off the mark with a single.
When Roy was bowled, we offered up one or two prayers in the green room. I certainly think my reaction was, for God's sake!
Well, as I said, I expected him to be out in 15 minutes and the presser to be on by lunch. He survived an hour and 20 minutes, which is an hour longer than I thought he would, and that has advanced England's chances. So, it's not the worst when you consider...
It's not the worst, and we did say that if England lose one wicket, or I said if England lose one wicket in this session, then they're still in the game.
Chance, yeah.
I mean, I think the consensus around was that England could afford to lose 2 wickets in this session.
Just about lose 2. I wouldn't like to.
Well, there's a fair bit of the session left.
There is.
TV umpire.
Well, lunch is still at 1 though, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
There's only 20 minutes to go.
20 minutes. Well, a lot can happen in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's very true.
TV umpire sends a picture, actually sent by Matt Roller, or film of Jason Roy as he's walking off. He basically tries to... I'll tell you in a minute.
Stokes pulls his bat out as Cummins over the wicket, bowls across him.
He's basically just swinging his bat in frustration, and he hits the ground and it bounces away from him, and he has to turn around to go and pick it up. He says, is there a better encapsulation of Jason Roy's Test career than him throwing his bat really hard at something and it ending embarrassingly?
Well, Stokes in that last over did smash
whilst
that
on the walk.
Whilst on the walk,
yeah. Indeed. And he smashed that into Lavishane's shin.
But he's got the guards on.
He's got the guards on. It still might hurt.
Yeah. Our friend Strange Carrots is with us. I'll take him in a minute.
Strange Carrots, what a name. Left alone, there's an appeal there.
Yeah, Payne was very confident.
Has he gone?
Yes,
he has been given.
Oh, Lord.
What the hell happened there?
Inside edge.
Was it inside edge?
Good catch, if so.
Well, Stokes is walking off. He can't believe it. Well, if you can't believe it, then review it. But clearly, you hit it. Then.
Well, he's not reviewing and he's walking. I didn't pick that up either. That's extraordinary.
I didn't at all. It came back in.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it's got the corner of the bat.
Yeah.
It's gone through.
Payne was appealing before he caught the ball.
Well, I'd be asking them to check the front foot for a start with Cummins.
Oh, dear.
Well, that's it. That's the 2 wickets we could only afford to lose, and we were really hoping that the heroics of Headingley have disappeared after 1 run.
This is a jingle
74 for 4
for that somewhat strange dismissal.
Yeah. Oh dear.
It got big on him, and he was...
Well, it came back in as well.
Yeah.
The others have been going across him. It did nibble off the seam, that one.
And he kind of got sort of the corner of the bottom edge of the shoulder of
a
the
reverse
bat,
periscope, you might say.
Yeah. But what you can say is that Cummins has been absolutely magnificent in this innings. I'm not saying that he would have got any 4 batsmen out with the deliveries he's bowled, but he has been really fantastic, fully justifying his number 1 position in the world. And he's on for a 10fer.
What did he get in the first innings?
I think he got to two late on in the first innings. Did he, or did he get 3? No, he got 3 late on. But he bowled very well in the first innings, often without any luck. But he's got the wickets that perhaps his bowling at the top order deserved in the first innings. Well, he certainly got them in the second.
I'd like to see his front foot. And I want to see also the sticker or a different angle on that. 'Cause I still can't see whether I mean, everyone's clearly he's got something. So
This would be a more interesting angle, I think.
Oh yeah, no, it's just come off the bottom face of the bat. Good catch by Payne.
It was. Took it
Diving
well.
to his right.
It's interesting, as Gary pointed out, he was screaming in delight even as he was diving to catch it.
Yeah.
That kind of gives some credence to the fact that there's been a tickle.
Indeed.
Anyway, Johnny Bairstow.
Well, this could be troublesome, eh? Nip one back between getting bowled. 74-4-4 now, England. All the good work of the first hour is starting to unravel. As you said, a lot can happen in 20 minutes, Tony.
It's not been
Something happened in the first one.
It's not been a good
There's
test
still
for Ben.
19 to go.
Yeah, it's been a difficult test for Ben Stokes, which you can expect really after that high.
Exactly. Bairstow defends his first ball. Quite well.
When he
Back
got
to the bowl,
bowled,
no run.
when he got bowled in the first innings, it was the 15th time in his last 37 innings that Bairstow's been bowled, and the 32nd time in his Test career as a whole.
Yeah, there's a little tickle on ultra edge. I'd still like to see his front foot though.
It's actually the bottom of the bat rather than the top of the bat.
It's an inside edge, actually.
Yeah, it's an inside
Right
edge. Yeah, Bairstow is bowled so often going hard at the ball.
Ooh, Ben Stokes has just smashed the face of his bat on a stair on his
I
way
think
out.
he's looking for a locker to punch, isn't he?
Don't do that, break his hand.
Again.
Well, Bairstow. Oh dear, that's got to be... Is there an appeal? There's an appeal for LBW.
It's got to be.
It's close, it can't be that far off. It's beaten the inside edge of the bat, come back in,
No?
hit him on the back thigh in front of middle and off.
Cummins
It's gone all
didn't
the way
appeal.
down to the boundary. It's going to be four.
We've got 4 runs for
Leg
it.
buys.
Yeah.
I thought it hit the stumps, but obviously it didn't hit the stumps. I mean,
No, it came back and hit him on the inside of the thigh. There was no bat. It was probably too high.
Too
I think.
high, I
Oh, it
suppose.
pitched just in front of Payne, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's what fooled him. A lot of discussion on YouTube. P. Kumar said, "What is the match result?" And Dave S. replied, "The match is Australia 1. Well, that's a little premature, but not by much, probably.
much too high.
Much too high. And impact
Still a good
umpire's call in
ball.
line. It was a very good ball.
Superbust Staradub said, "The man walked." Yes, the man being Ben Stokes.
And he did walk. He obviously knew. Cummins in again. That's on the pads. And Bairstow, as it often does, and so many players do, closes the face, plays it out to the wicket, and there ain't no run.
Yeah, you've
Marcus.
just got to work Bairstow on that fourth stump line.
Nip one back in
yeah.
between his bat and massive gate between his bat and pad.
Marcus
Bowling
S.
once more.
says, "And now the Kiwis gone." And Dave S. says, "Marcus, the international all-stars are crumbling."
We're a pretty international country these days. That's
Yeah.
why we're international.
Won't be much
all-stars.
longer though. Of course, we're going to shut down all the barriers, throw everybody out, become really poor with some fucking numpty Tories. That's played out to mid-wicket by Bairstow.
Yeah, we're being
No
told
run.
to change the scoreboard here, Bear, because we appear to be frozen on 23 for 2.
Oh. That's a
We
bit
will
annoying.
address that come lunchtime when our technical department, who's temporarily
fresh.
otherwise engaged, can look at it. But
I-
thank you for pointing that out. You're absolutely right.
I can just hear Ed Smith. Ed Smith is talking to Jason Roy, and what Ed, can I just, if we just tune in, we can hear Ed Smith talking to Jason Roy now.
Get on your bike and take a hike right out of here. Your history, no good for me. Your history, nah, 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 nah.
Superbus Stradahub Bub says, "Always enjoy hearing a poor take on Brexit during
Well, if you'll
cricket."
notice, actually, the scorecard is up to date. Have you not looked at that video? It's not playing. Who's sitting in the middle there?
Hendo,
Who's sitting in the middle now?
you.
I'm so pleased.
Any more difficult questions?
I'm so pleased that I'm not the only person who can't make that work.
Well, how do you make it work then? Because the
Just
comments are
refresh
up to
the
date.
page. Just
Oh.
refresh it, or press play on the video, or something.
Oh, we've got a new bowler.
Someone's pressed pause on a video. Anyway, Hazelwood is in, and it's on the pads of Denley, who just clips it out to long leg. He should come back for 2.
Shall we
Do indeed. Give him a jingle.
give him a jingle if I can find his jingle? And
He'll be over to the left somewhere. Right, even. There he is, number
There he
12.
This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood. This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood.
Says what it does on the tin.
There you go. We're refreshed.
There you go. Hazelwood outside the off stump of Denley, who lets that through the keeper and there's no run.
I think I got that wrong. It does what it says on the tin, but if it says what it does on the tin, that's also the same thing.
Yeah.
Means the same.
Dave S says, send Boris out to bat.
I once faced Joe Johnson, I have to say.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, when we were playing, I can't remember, it was the second of those Wormsley things, was it the first one? Can't remember, that Katie did. Do you remember
What
those?
does he bowl?
Oh, words and wickets.
Seam up, dibbly-dobbly shit. I think I hit him for 3 fours and an over. First ball, I cut him down. It was Wormsley's a fucking fantastic batting track. It's defended out behind square by Denley, no run. First ball, I just guided him down towards third man. It was just tickled and it just raced away down to the boundary.
Who's that? Careful cliff driver. Says if Boris were batting, I'd buy any bowler a pint who could knock some sense into him. K. Bibby suggests Theresa Mayer's batting. Dave S says body line, and we're now going through prime ministers who might go out to bat. So we'll let that conversation carry on.
Boris is recorded in playing football and rugby, neither of which are very good.
Probably trying to fell children, isn't he?
Oh, there's another appeal.
one.
Has he gone? Hazelwood. There's a big appeal from behind by Payne. That one jagged back once more. I thought it got the pad, but Payne seems to be going up for a catch.
He was.
He's not going to review it again. They do this so often, the Australians. They just appeal vociferously like they know it's out,
And then don't
review it.
I think sometimes you appeal on the noise, and then there was no appeal from Hazelwood. You hear something and it did hit the pad, and you go up, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, they seem to do it more than other people. They do it more than the English do, than we do.
Plenty.
Well, it was the top of the pad, and it was too high.
Yeah.
Strange Carrots, I was going to say. I started a tweet ages ago, never got round to it. You say Labuschagne chewing incessantly. He did actually stop, or at least for a few minutes yesterday, when walking off and Brody gave him a wave. He furiously spat his gum out.
And hit it with his bat. The next shot, Denley gets right forward to that, full and outside the off stump by Hazelwood. Beautiful shot by Denley. Driven out to the cover boundary. 4 runs. It's a nice long half volley, really. He gets right on top of it. It's all along the decks. Very square.
That's a lovely shot.
Yeah.
Dave Thomas says, bowled through the gate, that could be the headstone of England's 2019 Ashes campaign.
Well, yeah, they've always been bowled a couple of times through the gate. That's not surprising. So has Bairstow. Root has beaten. Root's had some snorters of deliveries from Cummins this series. It has to be said. Short. And Donny just ducks underneath it and goes through the Payne. There's no run. He's on 48.
Durban Oak is now in York and says, what do you think he says? We're spot on. That's exactly what he says. TV umpire says, especially impressed with Derbyshire. Okay, this is a conversation about the
T20
qualifying for the Blast. Wayne Madsen, another South Africa born, might never get to represent England, but he has been phenomenal. He has done well. You're absolutely right. John Goodwin says, I'm a hypocrite. As an atheist Aussie, I'm praying to any god to get Stokes out for less than 10.
Well, you got your wish.
You've got
mate.
your wish.
You better start going to church regularly, my man.
That's a real spread bet, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like any god that'll listen.
I wrote about Derbyshire this morning before I came here, because my Guardian column will appear tomorrow morning at guardian.com, and I'll come back to that in a moment.
Cummins is in, and Bairstow plays at square on the offside, and there's no run.
The 4 semi-finalists for finals day, because they play the semi-finals and the final all on the same day, 21st of September, a week on Saturday, are all non-test playing grounds. Essex, Worcestershire, Derbyshire, and the other one is...
Worcestershire, did you say that one?
Yeah, I got Worcestershire, got Derbyshire. God, I've just written about this. I should be doing rather better.
Around Durham, no?
Essex and...
Hampshire?
No, I'll have to come back to you. The Hampshire are a test playing ground.
No, that's true. Here comes Cummins. He's bowling at Bairstow. Another short one. Jacks underneath. No through to Payne. No
Zummerzet, of course.
Bob Burrows says, I don't know why he's gone into a comedy routine. Doctor, sometimes I feel like a spoon. Sit down and don't stir. Got to have something to laugh at. Yes. Where is Adil Rashid and Moin Ali? Well, the answer to that,
Well, Moen got
Bibby
120 or 60 balls
is
the other
that
day.
Moen was dropped, but he's doing very nicely for Worcester, and Adil Rashid is injured and out for the rest of the summer with that shoulder that, in truth, had also been troubling him all through
in
the World Cup.
Yeah. Cummins in bowls, and Bairstow lets that through, kept a little bit low. And I think it got pain in the thigh. No run.
John Goodwin does say thank you God, although he doesn't specify which one. Sean Roberts says he's been saying for a couple of years the Test team is his goal. There's plenty of red ball cricket available if he turns down the IPL and is prepared to travel. Does the ODI schedule allow him to do that over the winter? Are we
Roy?
sorry, Sean? That's a 9-minute-old tweet. Were we talking about Jason Roy in that conversation?
Yeah,
Just
possibly.
confirm. It sounds like we were.
Well, if he wants to, but he's got to learn to leave the ball, play with softer hands. That's defended by Bairstow at the leg side, and there's no run. I mean, me and Gary have an argument that it's so inbuilt in him that he can't, learn to leave the ball, play with softer hands, leave it later. I say that if you're an international cricketer, you've got to work, and you're good enough, you should be able to work out how to change.
Yeah, it's 3 non-test grounds, not 4, because Nottinghamshire are the other finalists. So I think I need to just do an edit to my post.
See, there you go. It's nearly no balls.
But wasn't.
But I don't know. The thing is, they keep showing us that angle that's slightly from cover, that's not square on, so you can't really see. It's kind of annoying. If you're going to show us it from side on. It'd be much more handy. As Bairstow defends that from the crease out to cover, and there's no run.
He's missed 100 balls so far as Joe Denley for his 48. Now he's starting to, as we said, play that opening role as an opener should,
Quite
isn't
well, exactly. And Burns has had quite a good series. He could have stumbled here across. I was a bit sceptical about Burns. He didn't perform very well against Ireland.
He did get into a tangle for the ball that got him out early doors in this innings.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, is it modal score in Test cricket? It's always going to be under 10 as an opener. That's played down towards long leg by Bairstow. Gets himself finally off the mark with a double.
Indeed. Arthur Shear says, I remember when England had Paul Weeks, Alan Wells, David Sales, Darren Maddy and others basically surplus to requirements, and this shows that top 4 batsmen should be frozen like sperm in case of future requirement. Nice idea. We'll have who did we have in our Gorilla Share podcast the other night? Sutcliffe and Hobbs. If we'd have frozen them, I'd be backing us for the draw at least.
No, absolutely.
Roger Melly, I'll tell you after this ball.
Bollocks?
No, he doesn't say that actually.
Bairstow is facing up Cummins. He's got 4 for 23, and this is the last ball of his 11th over. It's full and wide outside off stump. Bairstow just watches it through the pain, ends that over. No run, he remains on 2. Denny on 48. England at 87 for 4. A notional target of 383, and we've lost 2 wickets too many.
Roger Melly, the man on telly, says loose bus change is chewing gum while he's bloody fielding, and it's not chewing gum, it's bubble gum. I'd like to see him blow a bubble and get stuck on his grill. Would be quite visually amusing. Arthur Shear says surprisingly good vocal range Ed Smith has. Ed Smith as portrayed by Gary the
Well,
Hat
not me, but Shakespeare's sister, was it?
Yeah. Which was an ex-member of Banana Armour, wasn't it?
One of them.
Siobhan. Was it Siobhan? In that very goth video, I seem to remember.
Yeah, very gothy.
Was that the tune Stay, wasn't it? Stay. About death and cancer or something. Anyway, 80s pop music trivia. Ooh, that kept a little bit low and jagged a bit in. Hazelwood back in for his 8th over. None for 11 he has.
Bob Burrows says England here in New Zealand, so I'm assuming Bob is in New Zealand for the T20 in November. Yes, that's right. John George says England should attack, hit some 4s. I might sleep here, even the commentators. What, we might even sleep? Well,
no.
It's gripping stuff in a Test match way. It's day 5. Probably the best England can hope for is a draw. Though they need to keep the scoreboard ticking. I'm with you, but crease occupation is paramount.
We can't afford to lose. We said we could lose 2 wickets, didn't we, at an outside. We've lost 2, and that's defended by Denley.
Super Bus.
No run.
Staradub. said, does that mean we get Bradman and Smith? If you could pick your greatest team, I guess, was the frozen sperm.
Oh, God.
Or frozen batsman like sperm. Well, can you imagine Bradman and Smith batting together?
Oh, fuck.
I mean, you'd quite literally, they'd be about 650 for none, wouldn't they? Or for however
they'd
many
be
had
two.
gone before they came in. Yeah, for 2. Yeah.
Batting at 3 and 4. Hazelwood up to the crease now, bowls. That jags back into Denley.
It's a fabulous thought, Lee.
It's just going down leg side and it's high. There's no appeal.
And I'm not
No
Australian, but even I say that's a fabulous thought. Jason Jarvis says the main problem obviously was his batting was too high in an 11 that cannot possibly accommodate Roy, Butler and Bairstow.
This is true. We have a preponderance of 5, 6 and 7s.
You see, I think that used to be the case when they were making big runs, but I think partly because there's been so much concentration on the one-day game, there's so many technical flaws now in the England batting lineup that we haven't really even got 6s and 7s.
Well, I don't think that's true, because they can certainly make runs, and they have done.
There's Johnny Bairstow. It's a long, long time since he's made runs.
Played out to me a wicket for no run.
Roger Melly, Bairstow and Denley sounds like a great TV cop show. Yeah, I can see that. And he put any two names together, it quite often does, though, doesn't it?
I think we kind of remember that golden period Johnny Bairstow had when he made 4 centuries in kind of 18 months or so. But and centuries aren't the be all and end all. But if you want to shape matches as a top 6 bat, you've got to make them.
It's true. Denley covers it off stump. That's that through.
I'll just have a look at when
And there's no run.
when he last made a century in a test
No,
match.
it's over. It must be close to a year ago. He might have made one last year against India. Haven't played that many tests since then. To be,
I think it's a long time since he made a ton.
Jason Jarvis says, but I'll go further and say with heavy feet and metal mitts he will not adapt.
No, I mean I don't think he should be keeping. That's certainly one thing he shouldn't be doing. Bairstow. It's tricky. We need to find. Well, we found one opener. Maybe Denley is going to secure his spot as an opener. I mean, beaten on the outside edge. Payne throws it in the air, but there was no edge. And Hazelwood smiles, and there's no run. If Denley can open against this attack, he's got a good chance of opening against any attack, hasn't he? Really? This is probably the best attack in the world.
India's probably better, but
I don't think so. Bumrah's, would get into this side, but I'm not sure.
Well, that's lunch. In the meantime, I'm not sure. Are you hearing me there?
Yeah, I do. It's lunch.
Because everything, all sounds have changed on my headphones and mic, bizarrely.
Well,
do you want to round us up?
Before we round up the session, I'll just give you that stat that I promised you. Johnny Bairstow last made a century in March 2018, 101 against New Zealand. I get that wrong. I do apologise. He made a century against Sri Lanka in November 2018. We haven't played that many matches.
This is the first Test series since then, isn't it?
No, there was West Indies.
Oh yeah.
So it's not too bad a record, but he's got 600s in 68 matches, and 3 of those hundreds were in 2016.
Well, Butler's got 1 in.
I know. I don't want him playing in the Test side.
We don't have a lot of hundreds in this side. I mean, Root doesn't score enough. When you look at someone like Smith's conversion rate and Kohli's conversion rate, and then you look at Root's conversion rate, you certainly,
Well, Waitrose's put the weights for no man, so I'm afraid I'm going to dash away. But I'll leave you with Tony and the Bear to summarise this morning's play, and I'll be back here, I think, for the New Zealand tour.
Fair enough. Let me just finish off some messages pre-lunch. Glenford de Jong says, I do wish England all the best, but I do think England supporters are too hard on their team at times. Dave S says, I just wish they'd stop booing Smith. Frankly, so do I.
I think we all do. I think
he made a mistake. And the rest of that tweet I won't read out, but we basically, Dave, we are in full agreement on that. Durban Oak says, when the story of Joe Johnson came out, I thought they were talking about the snooker player. Roger Melly says, the worst bloke ever for appealing when he knew it wasn't out was Ian fucking Healy. Jeezy used to shit me. Knuckle Pandy says, Gary, what are you talking about? Nottinghamshire destroyed Middlesex, and Trent Bridge is very much a test playing ground. That is absolutely true, and yes, they absolutely did, and yes, it was horribly painful. Not so in the T20 finals, and we are a test ground. Quite right, Steve. You put Gary right on that one, and so you should have done. Strange Carrot says, why is that big advert thing behind the wicketkeeper so blurry? Dave Wood said, Jason Roy may well be the first person to have his MBE withdrawn before it's awarded. Ralph the Wonder Llama, hello to you, says 2 questions spring to mind. 1, why are England so crap? And 2, what can be done about it? Arthur Shear says, couldn't have frozen Hobbs and Sutcliffes and used them at the time. It's Sandham and Holmes you'd want to freeze. The ex Bananarama Shakespeare's sister was Siobhan Fahey.
That's it.
TV umpire says, imagine Roy and Boycott batting together. One of them would be murdered by the other at the end of the first over.
Indeed.
Let me see. Jolly Darko, Smith and Cummings have been the difference, and Australia deserve to retain the Ashes. Still, if England can miraculously manage a draw today and somehow snaffle a win at the oval.
Well, I think the bowling. Australia have got one. They got the best spinner in the world at the moment in Nathan Lyon, who actually hasn't done much for the last couple of games. They got the best fast bowling unit in the world. I think England would have really missed Jimmy Anderson. I think Broad's been totally on it. I mean, he is the 3rd highest ever seam bowler in the wicket standings. So England's bowling unit, I think if we'd have had Anderson and Broad and Jofra and or Wokes, I think there's space for the 3rd seamer, but Jofra's done well. I think he bowled quite poorly in the first innings here, didn't seem to be on it, but yesterday when he came out and got those wickets early, he was bowling fast again. I mean, everyone has off days, so I forgive him that, and he's only just starting out in his career. The bowling units are definitely better on both sides than the batting units, and the difference is fucking Piggy Smith. The man is an absolute phenomenon.
It has been. Well, we should ease ourselves now into our lunch and be with you after lunch. Marcus Fish and Superbust Strata Hub. Yes, I've seen your questions. I will think about them over lunch. One is about the impact of the World Cup on the Ashes, and the other one is how close Broad and Anderson might be to retirement. We'll come back with thoughts after lunch. Make sure we do. Keep us honest on that little promise, and we shall see you later.
Well, we're going to go back to the beginning of day 5, our momentous commentary in Ireland versus Pakistan in Malahide. It was all getting quite cool at that point. We'll see you in about 35 minutes or so. Until then, bye.
The rain forecasting hasn't quite been up to that level, is it?
Yeah, I guess maybe groundsmanship was his forte. Meteorology, not quite so much. Here comes Rankin again. Bowls driven, lovely shot.